Hello happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111 and today we are bringing you the messages you need the most to bring uplifting guidance, reassurance, whatever it is you need to hear to help you move through whatever challenge, difficulties, confusion that you are navigating right now. This is a reading in which we tune into your own spiritual guides and draw forward all of the advice that you need the most and that's going to be the most impactful right now. All you need to do is choose a pile. There are 4 to choose from as usual. In pile number 1, we've got the octopus with the yellow calcite, and for this pile, I'm using the Magic Tarot. For pile number 2, we've got the toucan with lapis lazuli, and for this pile, we are using the Lunar Soul Tarot. For pile number 3, we've got Jaguar, and for this pile, we've got the Tarot del Fuego. And for pile number 4 with the Ladybird, or Ladybug, depending on which side of the pond you're on, we've got the Sunstone and the Sun and Moon Tarot. So take your time choosing. Remember, there's no right or wrong way. You can just see which pile you're drawn to the most. If you're drawn to more than one pile, it just means there's messages in more than one pile for you. You can pause the video and douse over it if that feels right to you. Whatever works. The timestamps are down below and I will see you at your pile. Hello pile 1, welcome to your reading. You have chosen the octopus, the yellow calcite and the Magic Tarot, and today we are asking for the messages that are going to reassure and uplift you the most. Whatever it is you're going through in your life right now, whatever struggle, problem, confusion or challenge, we are appealing to your spirit guides. We're asking them to bring forward the messages that are going to help you move forward with optimism, with faith, to help reassure you that everything really is going to be okay. So let's do this. I'm going to move the octopus card over here. We'll read that one in a moment. Take a nice long deep breath whilst I'm shuffling and just set the intention that you are ready and willing to hear the messages you need the most. Now's also a really fabulous time to ask the universe for a sign, and this is just a way for spirit to reassure you, to let you know that you are seen and heard and supported. Your sign can be anything at all. It could be an object, it could be something from nature or an animal, a sequence of numbers or a name, whatever works for you, a place. Just trust whatever pops into your head first and look out for that sign. Pay careful attention to the messages that show up alongside your sign. We're going to be using the oracle cards today as well as the charm bowl, and there will be an extended reading as always. You can find the link for that in the description box below if this resonates for you. So let's do this. I'm first asking, what is actually going on? What is the circumstance that you need this guidance around? Let's see what's happening. Okay, first card out, 6 of Cups, 6 de Copas. So this is undoubtedly about a soulmate. The return of a soulmate is what I'm hearing. The 10 of Pentacles, 10 de Oros. So that's family, it's a union card as well. I'm hearing it pertains to a family that you already have. The 2 of Swords, dos de espadas. That's indecision. Forgive me for saying it in Spanish as well. It's just that it's on there in Spanish. And I've realised I don't actually know the names of the tarot cards in Spanish. So, you know, it's good practice while I'm learning. I did used to speak Spanish fluently when I was a kid, but I have long since forgotten through lack of practice. Okay, what's next? 9 of Swords, 9 de espadas. And let's get one more. So we've got 5, just make room for them. Okay, that's the Ace of Cups in reverse, As de Copas. Okay, let's clarify these. So clarifying the 6 of Cups, we've got the 7 of Wands in reverse, 7 de bastos. And clarifying the 10 of Pentacles, we've got the Empress, la Emperatriz. Clarifying the 2 of Swords, we've got the Devil in reverse, el Diablo. And clarifying the 9 of Swords, we've got Temperance, la Templanza. clarifying the Ace of Cups in reverse. We've got the World, El Mundo. Okay, let's get some oracle cards as well, since we've got room on the table. I'm going to start with the Divine Animal Oracle. Let me show you the box so you know what we're working with. I love this deck. It's probably one of my favourite animal decks. I'm a big fan of animal decks in general. I wish there were more of them. I'd buy them all. Okay, first up we have the Jackal, number 44. This is symbolic of truth. And the Wolf, authenticity, truth and authenticity. That's intense. A lot going on here for you, pile one. Okay, let's also get, I'm going to get these. This is the Self-Love Oracle. Okay, we've got the gift of knowing, third eye chakra. And ritual, self-devotion, third eye chakra again. Okay, so we're going to start with what's on the table. We'll draw more as we go. So looking at the overall energies of this in your current situation, what I'm hearing is that you are already in a relationship. It's not necessarily a really unhappy relationship, but it's not the most fulfilling either. And there is a soulmate energy in the background. This is someone you have a spiritual connection to. And there's been an ongoing back and forward between you, I'm hearing, for a really, really long time. It's clarified by the Seven of Wands in reverse, which is about you not feeling it's possible to have a boundary with this person. You just cannot resist their energy. You cannot resist their presence. It's like they are in your dreams, they are in your daydreams even, they are constantly in your mind. You cannot think or move an inch without bumping into some thought of this person. I really feel that there's a lot of trauma and upset around this. I'm noticing how that, hold on, why can't I pick that up? I'm noticing how this Six of Cups shows us all these tears, very similar to what's in our grid today, and these broken hearts. And it just feels like this is a no-win situation. It's almost like if you stay in a relationship you're in, you get to feel the pain and discomfort of letting your soulmate go. And if you reject your family in favour of your soulmate, you're still hurting someone and feeling the pain of that hurt yourself. I honestly think there are children involved here, because we do have the Empress energy, which is mother energy coming through. And so, you know, there is a huge commitment here. And like, as I said, it's not a miserable relationship, but it's not the most fulfilling. It just feels comfortable. It feels safe and secure. I'm hearing that this person is like your best friend, but you just don't feel the romantic love. You don't feel that kind of excitement in your belly, those flutters in your tummy that alert you to that attraction. And I'm hearing you never really felt that with this person. You do love them, but there's some kind of real sibling energy here. Like you love them from a best friend perspective. You love who they are. You love the kind of person that they show up as, but you're just not feeling inspired by the relationship. It just feels like it's, I want to say, it's lacking somehow. It's lacking somehow. Front and center is the Dos de Espadas, Two of Swords. That is indecision. It's that feeling of, what do I do? And what's interesting about this is that the Two of Swords, bearing in mind we've got the sun, the moon, and all these energies here, the Two of Swords ignores intuition. This is decision that you are trying to make from a place of critical thinking. You're trying to rationalize. You're trying to look at logic. You're trying to figure out what the safest way is. You're doing like a risk assessment, but the right decision isn't going to be reached that way. The mind cannot be responsible for looking at this and being solely responsible for looking at this and figuring out a way forward. In the Two of Swords, it's traditionally illustrated with a person that's wearing a blindfold. They've got the two swords crossed before them, and the ocean and the moon is in the background. That's representative of emotion and intuition. So that's what's not being taken into account here. And you've been taught that you have to be pragmatic, you have to be practical, you have to think of what the responsible thing to do is. But this Two of Swords is also encouraging you to think about whose hand you want to hold. Sometimes the most important decisions in our life can't be reached from a point of critical thinking. We have to look at the whole. Otherwise, you may as well just ask a computer. You know, what's the probability of this relationship working out versus this one? You wouldn't trust a computer. Why? Because you know it doesn't have conscious awareness. You know it's not going to take into account the nuanced and very subtle energy of emotion. You know it can't really understand what will make you happy. It's only going to give you an answer based on the probability of the safest way forward. And that's not necessarily how you should be making decisions. To choose what's safe and secure is to actually base your decision from the place of fear. And you're being asked to listen to your heart. You're being asked to listen to your truth, to be authentic to who you are. I'm hearing that you're someone that has struggled to do that throughout your life because there are so many level-headed, mental body-oriented people around you. You were probably raised by people who are air signs or earth signs, and the broader family unit was very much of that kind. And so, you know, they didn't necessarily understand your emotional depth, and you've been taught to suppress your emotion and to disregard your intuition. And you've spent your life making decisions that you felt were sensible and responsible, and that was affirmed by the people around you that further encouraged that responsibility and that sense of obligation. And so you stopped listening to your heart. From a very, very young age, you started ignoring what feels good and focused on what looks good on paper, what ticks boxes, what's going to make the people around you proud. And this has led you down a path of, I want to say, commitment for the sake of security rather than commitment because someone's setting your world on fire. So this relationship you're already in, it's stable, it's comfortable, it's affectionate and supportive in many, many ways. It's not perfect, but neither is it really, really bad. And I'm hearing that everyone loves your partner. You know, they all think that person is great. And so it's very difficult for you because you don't want to be the villain in this storyline. You don't want to show up as the baddie that, you know, destroyed the family unit, that broke your person's heart. And so you're in this really tough place of trying to figure out if you are brave enough to do what feels right to you and really piss everybody else off. And it's not an easy decision. As I said, it requires that someone gets hurt, as all love triangles do. We can't all be winners when there's a love triangle. This is clarified by the energy of the devil in reverse. And I think this is the part of your intuition that you are at least paying a little bit of attention to, because there's something in you that knows without any shadow of doubt that you cannot release the soulmate. That you can't. You've tried to have a healthy boundary. You've tried to push them away. You've tried to block them and lock them out. You've tried to move on and forget, but you haven't been able to. You're aware that there's a deep and profound soul connection there that simply won't let up. And so it really feels like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. The Nine of Swords is so much stress, so much anguish. It's sleepless nights and a desperate need to restore balance, to find peace again, for things to go back the way they were. I'm hearing you often wish you hadn't met this person, or that they hadn't come back into your life, but they have, and they're here, and this is what you need to focus on dealing with. The Ace of Cups in reverse is a really sad energy to pop up for you, because this indicates a lack of self-care and self-love. This is someone who betrays themselves every time to satisfy the needs, desires, and opinions of others. This is someone that's so used to sacrificing themselves and their comfort in favor of someone else's that it's just become an autopilot reaction and the norm. You are the peacekeeper, the people pleaser, the person that will ignore your own needs, wants, and feelings to meet other people's. And this is clarified by completion. This is the energy of closing that cycle out, the world, and this is what you're being challenged to do. I know that you resent it and you wish you could resist it, but this is what your soul is here to learn. You've spent many lifetimes being in the role of responsible, obligation fulfilling people pleaser. You've lived many incarnations of living up to other people's dreams, expectations, desires, and opinions. This is the lifetime in which you set yourself free and start operating from your own truth, your own strength of heart. Octopus is about clinging on. Think of all those little sucky things that they have and the way they wrap all their limbs around something. They're also experts at camouflaging themselves. They can blend into any situation. And when we have that ability, it kind of inhibits us from really knowing our truth and our true identity, because we're so easily able to adapt to the needs of the moment, our environment, and the people around us. So octopus is also about clouding or muddying the waters. Think of how an octopus releases ink in times of stress. If it feels threatened or attacked, it will release ink and create confusion. It will block the other person from seeing the truth. And I think this really resonates with how you've been having to hide your feelings from your person. You've had to operate in this energy of secrecy, and there's such a heavy burden of guilt and shame associated with that need that you've had. I honestly think that you beat yourself up so heavily. The burden of self-loathing is palpable. Ace of Cups, when it's in reverse, shows us that you have a very pure heart, but you don't necessarily access it for yourself. You're not giving yourself permission to lean into all of that nourishing, nurturing energy that you so freely and so willingly offer to others. The world is reminding you that it's time to turn that energy inwards. It's time to return to yourself. It's okay to choose a life that's fulfilling for you. And yet I understand that that feels so impossible. We've got truth and authenticity showing up. And isn't it interesting that both jackal and wolf are villains of the animal kingdom? Both of these creatures are perceived as verminous, as difficult, challenging. They're, awful predators that people would rather have removed from the environment. And I really think this is what you're afraid of becoming. This is, you're so afraid of how people will see you. You're so afraid of how they will judge you. And more than anything, you're afraid of hurting people you love, of disappointing them. We've got the gift of knowing and ritual of self-devotion. Both of these connect to the third eye chakra. And despite this deck being thoroughly shuffled, these are number 23 and 24. Sequential numbers matter, especially when they are these numbers, because 2 is about the energy of the high priestess. It's the energy of your intuition, the emotional, intuitive self that you've worked so hard to avoid so you can lean into the practical, functioning brain. But this gift of knowing will not let up. It's followed by 3, the energy of the Empress, the divine femininity in you, which is also symbolic of creating the life that's going to serve you and fulfill you. It's followed by 2-4, which is divine masculine energy, the Emperor. So again, it's about balancing those aspects within you, releasing that codependent nature that keeps you stuck in an unfulfilling relationship. There's a fear about finances and whether or not you can stand on your own 2 feet. There's a fear of how all of this is going to impact the wider family unit and what's going to happen in the future. You have, with the 9 of Swords, a habit of catastrophizing. You have a habit of looking at the potential worst case scenario, the what if consequences of whatever decisions you're making. And that's where you come unstuck, because when you're constantly what-ifing in a really negative way, you're blocking yourself from actually seeing the truth, because the truth resides beyond fear. Fear is the veil that inhibits you from seeing what's beyond. And the gift of knowing and the gift of ritual and self-devotion both lead you back to yourself and the truth that is in your heart. So we're going to get some more cards to get the guidance here and move forward. But I think it's really obvious what's being asked of you. You're being asked to be true to yourself, as hard as that is. And I'm hearing what you want to reassure and uplift you is to know that it will be okay. You're looking for some clarity. You're looking for some answers that help you be bold enough to take those steps. Now, even before I draw cards, I'm going to say Spirit can't always offer you that. And certainly in this situation, it feels like the you're not going to get all of the knowing you need, because you're being guided back to feeling into it in your heart. Indeed, we're not meant to know. That's not how intuition works. Intuition doesn't come with a roadmap or a project plan. It simply says, take this next step. And we find that reassurance, that faith, that optimism in the knowing that that next step is the one that feels absolutely right for us. It's the knowing we can't deny. It's a truth inside of us that explodes in every direction until we pay attention to it. So, you know, when we consider that the mission is for you to lean into that, you'll understand why Spirit isn't wanting to give you such conclusive answers. It's reminding you that the whole point of this is to help you learn to trust yourself. We've got the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, Siete de Oros. We've got the Magician, El Mago. The Hermit in reverse, El Ermitaño. And the Five of Swords, Cinco de Espadas. Let's clarify these. So clarifying the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, King of Pentacles, Rey de Oros. Clarifying the Magician, Knight of Swords, Caballo de Espadas. Clarifying the Hermit in reverse, the Emperor in reverse. How do you say that? El Emperador. And clarifying the Five of Swords in reverse, we've got Justice, La Justicia. Okay. Let's get some more oracle cards as well. I'm going to get these personal power deck. That's this one. I just realised I didn't show you the box of self-love oracle. We're going to get some more of those. So I'm going to show you that one as well. This is just to help you guys find them. I know sometimes I get emails asking which decks are what and where you can buy them. So now you can see them and look them up. Okay. So the first one here is, I can change my thoughts. I am ready. Look, she doesn't look ready, does she? She looks terrified, covering her eyes. I speak highly of myself. Okay. And from the Self-Love Oracle, Honoring Cycles, Root Chakra. And Healing Connection, Heart Chakra. So you've got 3 ritual cards here. And they are number 4 and number 16. Number 16 is the energy of the Tower. It's also about divine intervention because it reduces to 7. But, you know, healing connection is, I think, the Tower energy, which is also very sexual, very transformative, that exists between you and your soulmate. And we're seeing here with the Seven of Pentacles in reverse that you are, I want to say, frustrated, that it seems impossible, that you feel blocked from planting the seed that will create that new beginning. You're not even sure if your soulmate is going to commit to you. And I think this is where the catastrophizing and the what if comes in. And so I'm going to challenge you to reflect on the fact that you're simply not deliriously happy in your relationship. If you're choosing it just because it's comfy and it seems too challenging to leave, then you're not really being true to yourself. You can't grow and expand when you're in your comfort zone. And it seems like Spirit's going to ask you to take that leap of faith before that commitment is going to be guaranteed. However, everything really will be okay, because you're being reminded with this Magician energy and this Knight of Swords that you already have everything you need to be able to move forward and succeed in this situation. You have all the skills and tools you need to start over, and you are able to communicate from a point of truth, from a point of authenticity, which was what being called for here. When the Hermit is in reverse, it's letting you know that you don't have to fear being alone. And do you know what? I've been single for 11 years at the point of uploading this reading, and I remember this energy. It's the same reason I stayed in a toxic relationship for more than 10 years. 11 years on from that relationship ending, and I thank my lucky stars every day that I had the balls to see it through, because I'm so happy. I'm so comfortable and peaceful on my own. And even though the security, the financial security, the balance that having two parents or a partner brings, even though that was lost, something more important was gained, which was the connection to myself. Here we've got Emperor in reverse. It's reminding you to release control. When we're trying to control the future by choosing only what's safe and comfortable, we actually inhibit that divine flow of energy that is always leading us in the direction of what's exactly meant for us. The Hermit in reverse also shows us that disconnect between you and your inner self or your higher self, that disconnect between you and your truth that you are going to be able to reconnect with if only you have the courage to take those steps forward into a future that's of your own design. Here we've got the Five of Swords, that fear of conflict. It's clarified by justice. There is going to be conflict. There can't not be when you are navigating something so challenging, so emotionally volatile, that affects so many other people. I can't pretend it's going to be easy. It isn't. Spirit would be lying to you if it says it was. But this is all about balancing karma, and it's reassuring you that it will indeed be balanced, that everything will be okay in the end. But everything worth having is going to require some kind of challenge or the overcoming of certain obstacles. I know that's overwhelming, but you're being reassured here that you can definitely make your way through it, and that 5 is the point of change. After 5 of Swords is the 6, and the 6 illustrates someone in a boat sailing away from stormy waters into calm waters. And it's symbolic of leaving stressful situations and conflict behind. That's the progression of this card. 5, remember, is the midway number. It's the point at which everything transforms and changes, so you can move into that loving energy of the 6. I know that you wish you could wave a magic wand and everything be okay, but you can't. The only way is through this, and you do need to go through it, but you are being reassured that it will indeed be okay. It will work out in the end. Peace will be restored. You'll be forgiven by the people that were angry and judged you, and that things will be brought back to balance once more. And I'm just looking at how the sun and the moon is indicated here. Just like in our grid today, there's even a suggestion of a rainbow here and a little cloud there. Isn't that wild? So I really think it's going to be okay. Rainbows are symbolic of hope, but you can't get away from the fact that in order to get to that point, you're going to have to let go. You're going to have to be the villain in other people's stories. And in reality, we can't control people's perception of us. We can only make sure that we are proud and happy with who we are. We can only be sure that we are making the decisions that are born of our heart and our truth. We don't need everyone else to agree with us, even though it sometimes feels like we do. I can change my thoughts. So remember what I was saying about you catastrophizing, assuming the worst, allowing yourself to get eaten alive by the anxiety. This is something you have to be really strict with yourself about. Here it's clarified by honoring cycles, which is the energy of the Emperor. Again, the energy of releasing control, but harnessing power of the mind. The only thing that you should be in control of is your own mind. The mind is your operating system, but you are not the mind. You are the operator of the mind. You are the soul that is aware of your thoughts. You're being asked to remember that when you catch yourself catastrophizing, asking what if, you have to ask yourself, do I know this story to be true? Is there any evidence that it's going to work out the way I'm assuming this worst case scenario? If the answer to that is no, you have to let it go. If you're going to speculate in positive ways. Allow yourself to imagine all the wonderful things that can come out of it. It doesn't mean you'll be unprepared or blindsided for the really hard stuff. It just means that you're not going to be crippled by fear and anxiety on your way there. I am ready. You've waited a long time for this. You've procrastinated for a long time. Look at her. She's got her hands over her eyes. She doesn't want to see the consequences of her decisions and actions. And I'm noticing here that she has, is that her right hand? Yeah, it is her right hand. She has a ring on the ring, ring finger of her right hand, which is symbolic of that commitment. But look at the growth that's occurring here, the colors that are being stimulated. This is about intuition. It's about heart movement. It's about spiritual growth and ascension. You are ready, even if you don't necessarily feel it yet. I speak highly of myself. And, you know, this is about the thoughts. Again, when you find yourself shaming yourself, guilt tripping yourself, repeating the words of the people that spoke harshly to you in the past, you've got to learn to give yourself love. You've got to learn to not allow that kind of self-abuse within you. The ritual of healing connection and self-devotion requires that you go in, that you offer to mother and father yourself from that internal point. That's that hermit energy brought into balance, going in and finding that inner light, nourishing yourself from the point that it matters, rather than looking for it in your external environment and hoping that you can draw enough in to sustain you. That hasn't worked. That's why you feel so unfulfilled. I'm hearing you couldn't have chosen a more loving, supportive partner. You've chosen someone reliable, someone stable, someone that has similar ideas about the future. You know, for the most part, you bump along really nicely. And I'm hearing that your person does a lot for you and they try really hard to meet your needs, but you're learning that no one else can really meet your needs. Someone meeting your needs doesn't necessarily add up to love. Someone making you feel safe and secure doesn't necessarily fill your heart. That kind of vital sustenance can't be found in your soulmate either. They are simply the catalyst that is awakening you to this truth. That doesn't mean they won't be there in the future, and we are going to draw some cards about them too. But for now, you're being asked to recognize the call of your own heart, the call back to yourself, to close out this cycle of pleasing other people. It's like an addiction for you. You've been encouraged to do it your whole life and for many lifetimes before, but it's time for you to break that pattern. Okay, what does the spirit want to say about the soulmate? What reassurance can they offer you? We've got the star, la estrella. Now, when we're asking for reassurance, you couldn't ask for a more wonderful card than this. The star is about hope. It's about wishes. It's about optimism. Look at the shooting stars in the sky. There's 3 of them. That's the number of creation. You know, this is you being reminded that you co-create your life. And as long as you maintain faith, as long as you keep wishing and letting the universe know exactly what it is you want, the universe continues to conspire to co-create that with you. This is such a reassuring, beautiful energy. The 10 of Cups, wow. Okay, so now you've got the 10 of Pentacles. Soulmate is bringing 10 of Cups energy. So if the 10 of Pentacles is the mundanity, the practicality of secure, stable, comforting family unit and union, the 10 of Cups is a union of the heart. It may not be materially stable. It may not be as secure or as comfortable, but this is something that is going to fill your heart up in ways that you've not known, in ways that you could only dream of right now, in ways that you long for. And look, she's holding that cup. She has all of this power for herself. You know, in fact, a partner is not indicated in this card, but there's the suggestion of a union with self that is so fulfilling. So I want to say, what's the energy? I can taste it. I just don't know how to articulate it. Satiated. You know, it's like the heart stops being hungry. As you move back to connect with yourself, you're going to find this beautiful big love within yourself. Everything's going to be okay with your soulmate. I don't know how, but it is. And we've got the King of Wands there, the Rey de Bastos, leading from your strength of heart. That's Leo energy. That's also stepping into your spiritual power. I really feel like whatever's going on with you and your soulmate right now, and we're going to draw some cards for that as well, that there is so many positive, uplifting energies here to encourage you to take that step. Yes, it's fragile. I'm just noticing this paper origami boat. There's something fragile about it, fragile about the forward journey. It could so easily be crushed or stamped on by stronger forces. But you're being reminded that you do have the power to lead through it, as long as you can keep your strength of heart in place and lead from that rather than leading from the mind. the Two of Wands. So remember, we have the Two of Swords, which was about indecision. The Two of Wands is actually the opposite. It's about decisiveness. It's about feeling confident. Look at the difference in this energy. The sun is shining. The sun is shining. Pardon me, bear with my puppy Wawa. She was barking at my son who's just got home from school. Right, let's crack on. Where were we? The Two of Wands. So as you can see, this scene compared to that Two of Swords that we had, there's so much more growth occurring here. You know, you've got the ladybird, which is symbolic of optimism and hope. You've got all of these beautiful, warm and sunny energies to remind you of the joy ahead. This is about making a decision that feels right in your heart and your gut. Remember, Wands energy is about fire, and you're being encouraged to step into your own intuitive truth. The King of Swords, Rey de Espadas. I'm going to clarify that one. The Knight of Cups, Caballo de Copas. That's the battle between heart and mind. This person, your soulmate, they intellectually and emotionally stimulate you in ways no one else has. I'm hearing that there's a very charming, very charismatic, very magnetic energy between you. But it's that intellectual stimulation as well. It's like you know how to express yourself to them and they you. Talking to them feels like the easiest, most natural thing in the world. What else do we need to know about the soulmate? King of Cups, Scorpio energy. You've got two kings. The Eight of Pentacles, Ocho de Oros. Four of Swords, Cuatro de Espadas. Three of Wands, Tres de Bastos. And the Knight of Cups, or sorry, the Page of Cups, Sota de Copas. So you have the King, the Page, and the Knight here. That is so much emotional depth. And it's the whole spectrum, from the really cute, young, youthful, crush kind of fun, playful, flirty energy, through to the romance, through to the mature, grounded, and stable energy. There is so much here between you and this person, so much emotional depth. I'm hearing you may work with this person and they've also inspired your healing. And there's that Three of Wands, the energy of fulfillment that follows the two, and you can see it's come up right over it. The Flamingo energy, which is also joyful and uplifting. You can trust in this soulmate connection. But what's happening in that connection now? The Fool in reverse. So a reunion seems impossible right now. Ace of Swords in reverse, you don't know what the truth of it is. You don't know if they want you. Knight of Pentacles, no one's taking steps. And the Two of Cups. It's like a never-ending flirt that never seems to lead anywhere. And what's the guidance around that? Five of Wands in reverse. Don't play games, be direct, truth and authenticity. Six of Swords. It can't move until you do. And the Nine of Cups, putting yourself first. So, you know, what we're seeing here, when we're looking for reassurance, is we're seeing a kind of promised trajectory. We're seeing all the compatibility and simpatico that exists between you and your soulmate. But the universe is saying you first. This soulmate connection isn't just going to miraculously manifest while you're still in a relationship. That's why this person's staying away. That's why there's this palpable sadness connected to this. It's not going to happen while you're still being inauthentic and playing games. It's not going to happen whilst you're refusing to move away from that which keeps you stuck and away from your truth. It's not going to happen for you until you emotionally regulate yourself. Remember, the Nine comes before the Ten of Cups. And 9 is about the power of self, the power of solitude. This is about bringing you back to your truth. Now, we've just done a 9/9 portal meditation at the point of uploading. It's still available free or by donation on the website. I really think it will help you, because it's about releasing what we need to let go in order to embrace what we're supposed to receive. And, you know, you can't have one without the other. Remember, that's what we're saying. There has to be a letting go, a sacrifice in order to embody what's meant for you. And the universe is saying it will be okay. You will be fulfilled. You will be happy. And there's a very good chance that it will be with this person, because there is undoubtedly a very powerful connection between you both. But it's actually on you. It's within your power, within your remit to make this happen. So let's get some more guidance cards. I am going to use the Divine Abundance deck. So let me just show you the box. That's this one. Wow, love. Isn't that beautiful? Divine source is the idea that no person, place or thing is your salvation, only love itself. So that's what I'm saying. Stop waiting for this person to show up and sweep you off your feet. You need to save you and trust that everything will fall into place behind that. Humility. Allow me, divine, to always accept the right assistance. I welcome your help in every way and delight in receiving it. And receiving, wow. Every day it becomes easier to receive the highest divine plan and to trust my inner guidance. You need to make this your mantra. This needs to be your daily affirmation. You know, this is about reminding yourself that when you are following your truth, you are co-creating with more power behind you than anything else. You know, the universe is always going to lend the most energy to exactly what is meant for you. Yes, you have free will. Yes, you can choose a different direction, but it's always going to be easier to manifest exactly what is meant for you, exactly what aligns with your divine purpose. Right, this is the Keeper of the Light Oracle. We've got the Holy Spirit, expect miracles. We've got Dwell Call, Dharma unfolding. And we've got Master Jesus, forgiveness. I think you really need to hear that. You needed to hear about forgiveness. You needed to know that the people around you will get over this. We're going to get some charms. As you can see, my charm bowl has got much bigger. Right, so I'm going to turn these. And then I'm going to reach in to the bottom and grab some. Let's see what we've got. It's two people outside. Forever and ever and ever, the twins. I'm too clumsy to be around fragile masculinity. Is Mercury in retrograde? Well, yes, at the point of uploading it is. Not for much longer though. This is the FBI badge, Fox Mulder, Special Agent, Simpson and Stiley. Writer. Math student tears. The Bumblebee ring. This was a gift from Madison at ASO Tarot. So it's about friendship, the sisterhood and community. And this is beautiful. You've got the two swans, which represent true love, eternal love, swans mate for life. And bearing in mind that your soul is timeless and infinite. Right, let's put that back. And I'm going to get some of these cards as well. This is the Vessel Oracle. It gets better. How much more reassuring is there than that? That's beautiful. Look at that heart all patched up. Alongside forgiveness. Begin. Start now, pile 3. Pile 1 even. Grieve. And defeat. Okay. So for guidance, love, humility, and receiving. This is just about being true to yourself. It is unavoidable sometimes hurting people. You know, when we make choices that are for our own highest good, we can never please everybody. There are going to be people that don't agree with our decisions. There are going to be people that resent them and, you know, really bitter about the choices we're making. It doesn't mean we shouldn't make them. And again, this is a lesson that you're learning. It's this particular energy, the one you find so tough, this idea of letting everyone else down, of disappointing everyone else, of being the baddie in your story. That's what's kept you stuck. pretty much your whole life. You're being asked to trust that things will work out in the most miraculous ways because you are love. You have such a pure heart, but you're being asked, can you love yourself enough to give it to yourself, to love yourself enough to choose what's right for you? If you're a parent, I think a really beautiful way to figure this out is to imagine that it was your child that was in this position and they come to you and they say, Mum or Dad, I'm in love with somebody else and it's breaking my heart. What should I do? Because you love them so much, you would want them to have the freedom to choose joy. You would support them in loving themselves enough to choose a life that was fulfilling to them. You have to give this to yourself. You know, this is karma that's unfolding. I honestly think you were meant to eventually let these people down because you have struggled through so many lifetimes in which you didn't, in which they ran roughshod over you and exploited your gentle, caring, people-pleasing nature. It says here, remember that you are on a path. Take one step at a time towards happiness. And that's reminding you that that's what you're moving towards. You know, that it is going to be okay. Remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back. And we can see that she's got that cup there, that chalice, you know, and that's what she's driving the energy into. I'm guided to show you the sacred geometry on her hands. I don't know if that's significant to you somehow. Perhaps it was a sign for some of you. Master Jesus, you are on the path of light, love, and forgiveness. Father, healing is possible at this time. So again, forgiveness. You are on a path of learning to forgive yourself first and recognizing that when you're true to yourself, that forgiveness will flow from others. The miracle that you can expect for me is connected to how things can work themselves out. And, you know, there are lots of family that have been through the trauma of separation or relationships collapsing that will look back, that will reflect on it later and say, yes, it was the right thing. It was painful, but look at us now. You need to trust that you can be one of them. You need to trust that it will get better, but you have to start now. You have to start taking steps to strengthen your resolve. You know, grieving is a common theme. And like I said, it feels like you can't win. If you let go of your soulmate, you grieve. If you let go of the person you're with, you grieve. But grief is an inevitable part of life. Suffering besets us all. No one gets out alive without having experienced it. And there is nothing more painful than grieving someone that hasn't actually left, someone that you can't be with for whatever reason. It's so, so hard. But you're being asked to trust that you can navigate your way through this. You're not defeated. You know, you're not defeated. You're only defeated by yourself when you ignore your own truth. Don't pay attention to what the people around you are saying. They're not you. This isn't their life. It's not their story. They don't have to live it. You've got to stop taking their influence so seriously. Your soulmate will be in your life forever regardless. You know, this is a suggestion that perhaps they're a twin flame, that there's something deep and meaningful there for you. And I'm hearing it also applies to your family who will forgive you and be there for you always. I'm too clumsy to be around fragile masculinity. So I think this pertains to the person that you're with. The fact that there's this FBI in suggests there's some kind of investigation going on. Perhaps this person's already snooping. I'm hearing that even though they are inherently loving and they don't mean to be coercive in any way, they are quite jealous and possessive of you. They take advantage of how gentle-natured you are. They make sure that you are there to please them. And I feel like they're aware that something is going on outside that they can't quite put their finger on. And so they are sniffing around, they are looking, and they're probably, you know, very jealous of whatever it is they think it is you've found. I don't think they think it's another person, but, you know, I think that really emphasizes how you have to tiptoe around or walk on eggshells with this person to manage that fragility within them. Now is not a good time to communicate about this. Wait till the retrograde has passed. Maths student tears. So maths is about working things out. It's about sums. Student is about learning, and tears is about release or frustration. You can see here that it's all bottled up. And so I really feel that, you know, you need to release the desire to control it. You need to face the challenge head on, even though it's going to be difficult. You know, you can't learn and grow through this if you bottle it up and ignore it. These are such beautiful energies. There are friends and people around you that can understand. Perhaps you haven't met them yet. If you're experiencing a soul connection and you're lonely in that, reach out into this community. I've got a Facebook group. You can find lots of us that understand over there. Again, you're being asked to trust in the eternal nature of this connection between you and your soulmate. You're being reminded as well that if you don't have the strength and courage to move towards them in this life, that you'll have an opportunity to do it the next one. But you're also being reminded that the same cycle will repeat. You know, you're never just gonna, oh, well, maybe in the next lifetime we'll get together when we're 16 and we won't have to deal with other partners and all the karmic woohoo. It's not gonna happen like that. It's always going to require a sacrifice of you, because the goal, the mission is bigger than just being with this person. The mission is to be with yourself, to choose you, to choose your own happiness. The mission is to reject other people's desires for how your story should read. And talking about story, we've got writer. And I really feel this is significant to you. For one, you enjoy writing. They say there's a book in everyone. There's definitely a book in you about this. And I feel that as you navigate your way through this journey of learning, you're going to figure it out and you're going to help other people as a result of that. You really are going to be okay, Part 1. I hope you found this helpful today. I'm going to take this over to the extended. I really want to know more about your soulmate and what's going on between you and what the challenges are. I want to know more about your existing person and why you're feeling so stuck. And of course, we're going to get some more guidance. If this has resonated and you want to join me over there, you can find the link in the description box below. But thank you for joining me here. Thank you for your beautiful comments. Don't forget to make a note in the comments of which pile you chose, because YouTube will always recommend these readings to you again, because you've only watched one pile or a fraction of the video today. I always find it so synchronistic and magic that they'll recommend it just when you need it. So make sure you make a note. Thank you for hitting the like button. It really helps. And very special thanks to those of you that have watched the commercials today. That really helps my channel to grow, and I appreciate it so, so much. You can find me on my website at happysouls1111.com, where you can book a private reading with me, clearings, crystal grid healing, fabulous classes. Come on over and see us at happysouls1111.com. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, Part 2. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Toucan, the Lapis Lazuli, and the Lunar Soul Tarot. Today, we're asking for your message guides to come in, help us understand the challenging, problematic, or confusing circumstances that you're navigating, and to bring forward that reassurance and those uplifting messages that are going to help restore enough faith, strength, and optimism to help you move forward with more dignity, more comfort, and more grace. So I love these connect with your spirit guide messages. It always brings what we need the most. And I really hope you're going to find it helpful. Now I'm going to give these cards a shuffle. We're going to use the Oracle decks and we're going to use the Charm Bowl today. But whilst I'm shuffling, just take the opportunity to think about the circumstances you're challenging, I beg your pardon. You know, set the intention that you're ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. You can also ask the universe for a sign. This is a really great way just to feel seen and heard by spirit. And, you know, it helps validate the messages that are coming through, helps us trust that spirit does have our back. And a sign can be anything at all. It could be an object or something from nature, an animal, a place, whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. Already big energies for you, Part 2. Let's see what's coming through for you. There will be an extended reading today. You can always find the link to that down below if this resonates for you. Okay, and don't forget to make a note in the comments of which pile you have chosen today, because you're only watching a fraction of the video. YouTube will recommend it to you again. I always find imperfect divine timing as well. If you've made a note of what pile you've already watched, you'll know not to pick it again. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to draw some cards first to help us understand the situation that Spirit wants to address with you, to help us understand what's actually going on that you need that reassurance around. Okay. First card out, that's the 8 of Swords in reverse. The 10 of Cups in reverse. Justice in reverse. The Queen of Cups. We're going to get one more. That's the 3 of Swords in reverse. And we're going to clarify these. That's the Hermit in reverse. I've got the Death card. The Queen of Wands. So that's 2 queens. The Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And the Page of Swords. We're going to get some more oracle cards since we've got some room. I'm going to start with the animal deck. This is the Divine Animals Oracle. Oh, what's that one? That doesn't belong in this deck. Energy Medicine. I'm going to keep that because it shouldn't have been in the deck, so I'm guessing there's a reason that it was. Okay. Snow Leopard. Rhinoceros. And from the Self-Love Oracle, that's this deck. Soul Lesson, Nobility, Aura Chakra. And Flow with Life, Sacral Chakra. Oh, God bless you, pile 2. So what we're seeing here is some kind of unrequited love. This may be a twin flame or soul connection, but we're essentially seeing that the person you are in love with is still with another. With the 8 of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Hermit in reverse, there are shadow aspects here that are just outside the boundaries of your own awareness too. So you may have felt really heavy recently. You may have really struggled with your emotions. You've struggled with being on your own. And things that you have seemingly coped with better in the past are kind of coming up to slap you in the face. All of a sudden it feels like you've taken a few steps back. And that's really frustrated you. I feel that your person already has, as I said, a committed partner, or a family even, and you're kind of just waiting for that to end. It just feels like you're waiting and just willing your person to have the courage to leave. They undoubtedly love you, but we can see that there is unresolved karma here, and I'm hearing that you refuse to be the other woman or the other person. Sorry, you might not be a woman, my apologies, but you're refusing to be that third person. You don't want there to be a love triangle. We can see this with the 3 of Swords in reverse. And so you kind of tiptoe around it. I'm hearing that you do maintain communication. You've kind of built a friendship and you hold space for your person even though a new beginning hasn't presented itself. I think your person doesn't really push that boundary of intimacy either. The Page of Swords indicates that they kind of keep the communication low-key. They don't go into the deep with it, but they do keep the energy moving. They keep the lines of communication open at least. But in terms of getting you the guidance and the reassurance you need, what we need to focus on is this waiting energy and this wound of loneliness, which you're not acknowledging, because there's a part of you that knows that you're supposed to be surrendering and accepting what is. Sorry, I've just got to move that. I know it probably doesn't make any difference to anyone else, but it does to me. It's the way the energy moves. Okay, so, there's this intellectual knowing within you that recognizes that you are supposed to be loving yourself, you're supposed to be getting comfortable with that solitude and really embracing this period of separation that you're experiencing. And so I'm trying to think how best to explain this. So sometimes when we know we're not supposed to be in a certain energy, we can be toxically positive about it, and that causes us to avoid the shadow aspect. And that's actually more dangerous than acknowledging it, because it continues to sit beneath our conscious awareness and it still expresses itself unconsciously. And I think you're just not giving yourself permission to always feel that way. When that energy of loneliness arises, you'll bat it away and be like, no, I'm gonna love myself harder, I'm gonna love myself better. What you're actually being encouraged to do here is to stand in awareness of it, to honor it, to let it flow. This is what's actually going to resolve the energy within you. But because you push it away and try and fill that hole with activities, with keeping yourself busy, even with loads of kind of magical healing or psychic practices, you're not actually leaning into the pain and just allowing yourself to be with it. I want to come to Toucan. You know, Toucan is, well, it's a attention-grabbing creature, isn't it? If you think how magical and different they look, it's got this enormous beak which commands attention. They are also symbolic of communication because they're quite loud. And I really think this is about reminding you of the power you have to draw attention, to draw an audience when you are communicating from that place of truth. Something has thwarted your attempts to grow and to really embody the power that is available to you, because you're not necessarily applying it to yourself or recognizing that full power within yourself. I'm hearing that you do harness it to a degree, but that there is more there for you to grasp. And it's this wound that keeps you waiting, keeps you stuck in this lonely energy. And you may say, well, I simply haven't met anyone else that I've been attracted to, but you're not putting yourself out there. You know, you're not open and receptive to that. And so even if there was someone else that was meant for you, and I'm hearing there has been on occasion, you're not necessarily giving yourself permission to be open to it. I'm hearing that there has been a literal death in your life in recent times as well. And that has kind of caused you to go more inward because you felt so lonely through that period. And it's so, well, it's understandable, isn't it? Because it's when we're struggling the most that we really miss or notice the absence of a loving, supportive partner. And again, it's just kind of hardened you to it. Well, I am on my own. I've just got to, you know, man up and move on with it kind of energy. Rather than allowing yourself to actually sit with that loneliness, to acknowledge it and to nurture yourself at that point. And so this energy of waiting, of your life being on pause, and of you having cast so many of your dreams aside because there's this kind of limiting belief that you can't fulfill them without this person in your life. Queen of Wands, clarifying justice in reverse. I want to come back to this. This is Leo, I beg your pardon, not Leo, it's Aries and Pisces energy. You know, so this is a very connected energy. You do understand this karmic lesson your person is navigating. And I think you focus on that. You overly focus on it. You're always measuring the progress of that and allowing it to be a benchmark for how your journey is going to proceed. I really feel that, you know, that will be brought into balance on its own regardless of your awareness or knowing around it. Your power is in embracing the new beginning that is available to you now. And we can see with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse that, you know, this person might not be ready to step into that new beginning with you, but you're being asked to continue flowing with life. It's almost like, you know, if you think about it in terms of the intention is to flow with a river, but you've got it in your head, this limiting belief that you can't flow with a river unless they join you. So you've pulled yourself onto the banks and you're watching the river flow and it go by and you're waiting there stagnating for them. But that's not how this works. You need to just dive into the river and flow and trust that they will catch up when they are meant to. You can have this new beginning now. You can have everything you want now. You need to stop putting your life on pause and step in to a reality that's, you know, created just for you. I really admire how you've kind of held back in terms of not wanting to be part of this love triangle and to cause someone else grief. It's a real strong moral standpoint within you that you've refused to be the other person or to perpetuate that cycle of betrayal. But it just feels like you're the one that's being betrayed instead. It hurts you every time, and you've kind of learned to live with it. But again, you're not acknowledging that pain, and you're not acknowledging how much it hurts you to remain present with it. I want to say that you're kind of feeding off the breadcrumbs because you know you can't have the whole loaf, even though the breadcrumbs don't fulfill you or satisfy you. And I think there's a message here that's reassuring you it's okay to pull back from that. You know, you don't have to maintain that communication. You don't have to wait for this person. You don't owe them anything. And, you know, the fact that you hoover up the breadcrumbs because there's nothing else on offer is kind of revealing of where you're truly at on your healing path. And you need to allow yourself to acknowledge that. Rhinoceros and snow leopard is about watcher and moderation. And again, I feel this is about how you're observing the karmic connection so closely. Probably not just in a literal sense, but in an energetic and intuitive sense as well. And you need to moderate that. You need to, I guess, put a lid on it. And this is what the Queen of Cups does. She is able to measure her emotional self, but still be in awareness of her emotions. So measure versus limit. You know, by limiting our awareness of our emotions, we actually avoid them. It's when we actually allow them and we're honest about what they are that we can put healthier boundaries in place to measure that emotional flow. You're essentially giving too much of yourself away. Energy medicine, sensuality, devotion, celestial fertility, and deep rest. Celestial fertility really, really jumps out at me. And I feel that you have put being a parent on hold because you're waiting for this person. You've got like a lifelong ambition to be a parent, and there's a heavy energy of that clock ticking. You know, you're being asked to lean into that and to remember that you can still co-create that. You don't need, I know you want to do it with this person, but this person is otherwise engaged. They are doing something else. They're living out their journey in the way they're meant to. Even though they love you and miss you and would very much like to be with you, you know, they are magnetized to stay where they are because that karma is unresolved. And you're kind of aligning with that karmic magnetism, which is inhibiting you from flowing in the way that you are meant to. And this is a number 6 energy. You know, this is about self-love. I really feel that you're meant to draw what you need from your own experience, and you don't need to wait for them. You just need to move forward. Coming back to this energy medicine and this celestial fertility, you know, again, I feel like you're laboring under the illusion that there is no one else, and that if there was, well, the universe would have sent them to you. And that's not entirely true. We have to be open and receptive to what is meant for us. It's always flowing. And I do believe that you're meant to birth a child through your energy into this dimension that is also going to be incredibly impactful, and that in itself will be a medicine to your soul, because it allows you to step into that nurturing energy and embody it for a purpose that's higher than what this connection represents. And there are purposes higher than this connection. I know this is probably a twin flame connection, or it's a soul connection, but I know it can feel all consuming, like it takes everything from you and that there can't be anything else in life, because this seems like it just assaults and overwhelms all of your senses. But I do believe there is an even higher purpose than that, and it is connected to the energy of parenting. And celestial fertility refers to the fact that you are essentially a vessel to contain highly ascended life, not just within yourself, but to birth it through you. You know, you've got to think that really old souls or star seeds or these people that are incarnating in order to bring light into this dimension. And I know this is really out there in woo-woo, so you have to bear with me. But some of us, if you think of those people that are being born for that purpose, they have to move through a similar a vibrational level. They have to move through a vessel that at least can share or inspire that frequency, even if they're not embodying it themselves, that they hold that kind of seed of light creation and light work. You are part of that ancestral nobility. You are born of generations and generations of mystics and sorcerers and magicians and just very powerful prophets and light workers. And you're being reminded, you know, that you are a vessel for that energy, but you have to embody that power for yourself by allowing yourself to flow with life. And that might mean, you know, detaching from this person. Let's get some more cards. I really want to understand more about this relationship that you have with them as it is now. Okay, so we've got the Fool. We've got the Eight of Wands in reverse. We've got the Seven of Swords in reverse. And we've got the Queen of Pentacles. And clarifying the Fool, we've got the Five of Swords. Clarifying Eight of Wands in reverse, we've got the King of Wands in reverse, that's coming out over the Queen. Seven of Swords is reversed, clarified by the King of Swords. And the Queen of Pentacles, clarified by the World in reverse. Again, heavy energies I feel for you, pile 2. I mean, in terms of reassurance, you are meant to have everything you want. At this stage, you're simply not meant to have it with this person. We can see that with the Fool, that you seem to cycle through the same pattern with them. And that's this kind of new beginning, leaps of faith, followed by some kind of breakdown or conflict because those boundaries aren't firm enough and you always end up feeling hurt. It just doesn't move quick enough for you. And your masculine isn't necessarily leading in the connection the way that they're meant to. They sometimes talk to you about what's happening karmically, but most of the time they keep it under their hat. And this kind of mature, no holds barred communication that you're capable of isn't being matched. You know, they're not able to speak to you about their deepest, darkest fears and needs and wants. And so you kind of have to resort to drawing that energy from them energetically or intuitively. And we can see as well that they remain steadfastly committed. Look at this Queen of Pentacles. She's got a fox and deer. That's predator and prey. And her hand is on the fox's head whilst the deer is passive by her side. I really think this refers to you and the karmic partner, that they maintain the connection to the sly fox whilst keeping that closeness to you but not embracing you, and it just seemingly is never ending. So this is just kind of more of what we've already seen, but it really emphasizes how painful that is for you and how you don't acknowledge that pain. Your person loves you very, very deeply, but they are so consumed by the karmic cycles that are, you know, drawing them in so that they can learn. I really feel like, you know, again, this is guiding you back to yourself, your own awareness. We've got 2 8s in reverse, which is indicative of you not necessarily identifying with the lessons that are presenting. And so you're kind of just bumbling along, doing your best, but there's all of these wounds that are beneath your conscious awareness. And what are they? Okay, we've got Wheel of Fortune and 6 of Wands. So deep down, there's a fear that you can't be victorious and have what you want. Taurus energy is really standing out for me here. Think how single-minded Taurus energy can be. You know, when you wave a red flag at a bull, it's aware of nothing else around it and becomes entirely focused on that distraction. And I think, you know, the wheel keeps turning and it can only land where your beliefs align with, if that makes sense. So, you know, there's all of these different opportunities, but it's always going to align with what you believe and expect. And because you're not necessarily believing and expecting your own victorious, triumphant homecoming, it feels like a homecoming. And the belief that you can't align with is that there is another relationship that's going to feel as good or as necessary or as divinely guided. It's like you genuinely don't recognize that there is the potential for another loving relationship. I really feel like you are capable of triumph. I'm just tuning into Arthur, trying to get some more clarity on this. So Arthur's saying, when you reflect on the ebbs and flows of your life, you know, you'll notice that things do always work out in the end. Every experience we have acts as a bridge to the next step. And those steps that we have taken prepare us for that next chapter. Do you see what I mean? So, you know, in real terms, you need to focus on the lessons that have created these openings for you. You also have an obsessive need to be productive. And this is a trauma response. It's a reflection of not valuing yourself unless you are doing something that you perceive as valuable, you know. And I'm hearing that you get frustrated with your ability to manifest what you want. But what you have to remember is that you're not going to successfully manifest something unless you can comprehend the feeling that you're subconsciously needing. For example, you know, the desire for wealth is usually rooted in the feelings of financial insecurity. You know, it's not really that we're greedy and we just want loads of money. It's that we desperately need that to feel secure somehow. There's poverty fear there, for example. Or, you know, if we're trying to manifest a relationship, you know, we are trying to overcome the feeling of loneliness. And so when you start focusing on what it is you're really trying to manifest, when you start focusing on the feeling that you're trying to soothe and heal from that point, that's when you unlock your manifesting potential. These are very auspicious energies together. They're very lucky. You know, you are meant to be abundant in all areas of life. You have the potential for abundance in health, wealth, love, and everything else that comes with it. But again, this toxic positivity, you know, exacerbates the negative aspects of your life because your obsession with staying positive causes you to avoid those shadow aspects, and it consequently becomes expressed unconsciously and interferes with this divine flow, interferes with that power that you actually have to manifest. And this person has put you on a pedestal. They very much put you on a pedestal because they operate from the perspective of fantasy. They're not enjoying a real relationship with you because they can't. They're, you know, engaged elsewhere. And so that's definitely causing them to idealize you, to put you on this pedestal. And you can't trust someone that's put you on a pedestal, you know, because you can't carry the weight of that expectation. It's exhausting. You know, if they're blind to your shadow aspects, they're worshipping a work of fiction anyway, you know. And furthermore, if they see you as above them, they're actually showing you that they don't value themselves, you know, and they want to exploit and use your value to elevate themselves. You know, they're literally outsourcing their power to you. So you constantly showing up for them, even though they are committed elsewhere, even though it pains you and hurts you, is giving away your power, and in some respects inadvertently disempowering them, because it's not allowing them to step into their own. You know, it's not forcing them to lean into themselves. I really think that you're being guided towards pulling your power back, having firmer boundaries. Look at that. The boundaries being smashed down and all the pain that results because of it. You know, you're not meant to be hanging around this person. You know, I really feel like you maybe need to close the door on that for the time being, at least to wrap that up and give yourself permission to flow with the life that's intended for you right now. Let's see what that looks like. The Page of Cups, so that's new love. You know, that's a really sweet relationship as well. The Page of Cups is that lovely crush energy. It's so exciting. It's like a honeymoon period. It's new love coming into your life. And the Chariot. So again, that's divine intervention, divine flow. But you have to be open and receptive to it. You have to put yourself out there. I'm going to challenge you to date, even though you don't feel like dating, even though you think that your heart's not in it and you can't. When you actually get yourself out there and start doing it, you start to stretch those muscles that allow you to move with that rhythm. You know, think of it in terms of, well, I used to be able to do the splits, but I haven't stretched that way for years and now I can't. You know, it's not the case that you can't be attracted to someone else. It's just that you're out of practice even perceiving other people other than your person as a potential partner. And so you just need to stretch that muscle. You need to put yourself out there because there is someone for you. The universe has been trying to bring someone into your life for some time. They want you to lean into this celestial fertility. They want you to, you know, give birth to the life that you were meant to have. Look at that. Wow, just as I've said it, we've got Empress. You know, that's mothering energy. That's birthing energy. It's the energy of creation. It's also divine feminine energy, you know, which is allowing you to step into your fullest potential. You can't do that with this person. They may be a soulmate or soul connection, but timing is everything, and we can't interfere with divine timing, you know, and you don't have to hang around and wait for it. At the moment, you're meant to just keep flowing with what's presenting. 10 of Swords. That's wrapping up that pain cycle, giving yourself permission to let go. There's also this energy here of you having been so invested and having invested so much time that it's almost like, well, I can't pull out now because it would have all been a waste. It wasn't a waste. All of that discomfort that you have felt has allowed you to grow and bloom in new ways. And that growth and that blooming will only continue. You know, your suffering was never, ever in vain, but it's definitely time for you to seek something else. And again, I'm noticing that bull energy show up. I don't normally associate the Empress with Taurus energy. I'm just seeing what else is in this card. So Arthur's saying as well, I'm looking at the stars around her head, you have already started working in your, I want to say in line with your divine purpose, but there's more. There's more light to be harnessed. There's more energy to be harnessed. There's more victory, triumph to be harnessed, more success available to you. But this focus on your person and on the karmic cycles that they're navigating when you don't have any. You don't have any karmic cycles to resolve. It's done. You've done that work. You did it when you were much younger. You know, now you're ready to move forward past that. Why are you hanging around to observe their karma? You don't need to do that learning. You see their problems really clearly. You know, it's holding you back from embodying your fullest mission work as well, because your focus and your perspective is so narrowed because of you're looking at them and what they're doing rather than focusing on the growth that's available to you. Let's get some more oracle cards. I'm going to get the Keepers of Light cards. You're going to be all right, pile 2. You're meant for bigger things than this right now. Master Buddha, increased awareness. Charity, prayer and contemplation. Just got to straighten that out. and Freya, phases and cycles. And what else should we get? Let's get this from this divine abundance deck. Right now, guidance and divine abundance. That's what we were talking about. Abundance in all areas of life. And from the Vessel Oracle, self-doubt, power, defeat, and grief. So it feels like giving up to you. To turn your back on them now feels like giving up, and it hurts your heart, you know, because you enjoy those interactions so much. It's like it feeds you somehow, but you're being asked to feed yourself, to recognize the love that's available to you, to look in the mirror and really see those shadow aspects and give them love. This is what's going to help you embody your full power. And this one, I got chills when I turned over this one. You know, this is about recognizing that everything that is meant for you is available now. And this says, stay in the present and don't get too far ahead of the flow. You'll soon trust that nothing more will come than can be handled in each moment. And so, you know, you mustn't worry about, I guess, it getting carried away with you. The universe and the divine plan is always moving at a pace that's right for you exactly. And we've got this Master Buddha, deep connection and trusting your inner voice. But you've got to learn the difference between the inner voice, i.e. your higher self, and the limiting beliefs and thoughts that are actually keeping you stuck. I feel that you're very good at guiding other people, but when it comes to guiding yourself, you're sometimes blinkered to those wounds that, as I said, are just beneath your own conscious awareness. You may actually be a medium or a psychic or a tarot reader or something, because I really have this visual of you guiding other people, helping other people, talking to them about love and relationships, and being so profoundly impactful in your ability to do that. You know, you're really helping others. But when it comes to trying to guide yourself, you can't see past your own limiting beliefs. So I really think it would help you to enlist the help of another, you know, present earthly guide, another reader or channel or someone that specializes in this. And what you do is, when they're reading for you, you'll find yourself in your inner dialogue, that inner voice, disagreeing with what you're hearing because it's not necessarily resonating with the truth that you want to believe and align yourself with, rather than the truth in your higher soul. And it does say here, when you make divine intelligence your foundations, you finally have a fixed star to follow. And, you know, divine intelligence, look at the forget-me-nots here. Those flowers, you're forgetting that, you know, you're not, I'm trying to think how to explain this. So my guide Arthur is saying you'll notice this when you are channeling for others, the flow feels different to when you are channeling for yourself. And that's because when you're channeling for yourself, you're being triggered by the information that's coming through. And that causes distortions in the way it flows. I think automatic writing would help you more. And also, if you record your own content, like if, you know, when you do readings for people, you're recording that, there's information in there you can use for yourself if you go back and watch it. So perhaps, you know, dig through any recordings that you have and see what comes up or calls to you, because it's like that guidance comes through for you too, but you're not necessarily absorbing it in a way that allows it to connect for you. Connect with heaven, and ask and you shall receive. You know, it really is about tapping into that high guidance that you forget is available to you. There is a beginning within every ending. Illusions are revealed and released. So I think this is about bringing this to a close. You know, I really think you need to say to your person, I love you, I care about you, But, you know, it's time for us to part company until such a time as you're really free. Let's get some cards around that, actually. And I just want to read this one to you as well. You were born to align with love's will. Follow the Tao, and serve something beyond the ego. Learn to be abundance, not chase it. And you are chasing it. And I don't think you like to consider your actions as a chasing energy, because that's something you've been trying to move past for so long. But you are unwittingly still chasing. Remember, chasing is an energy, not a doing word. Four of Swords. So this is about healing. So, you know, you two having space from each other is actually going to create more potential for healing, especially of the masculine energy, because solitude is required for that. You know, at the moment, they're not making decisions. Well, they are unwittingly. They're choosing to stay where they are, but they're not being forced to reconsider that decision because there's nothing occurring outside of them that requires them to. Getting some space from you, having some solitude is going to help them realize how profoundly this connection magnetizes and calls to them. And that will put them in that, I'm looking at these two swords, that will put them in the energy of reconsideration. Nine of Swords, you know, so it will be stressful, but I think more so for them, because you do at least align with the faith and belief that you will be with them eventually. The bit that's blocking you is that you think you have to wait for that. You know, you don't. You can move on. You can have, you know, this other life around you. And we've got Four of Wands. Look at that. That's beautiful. That's union energy. That's celebration energy. So, you know, essentially letting go now and parting company with this person and pulling your energy back is ultimately what is going to open a union transit. And I'm hearing that you've been on this journey a long time and you've not had a union transit yet. Now, a union transit doesn't necessarily mean coming into a relationship. What it means is that the runner-chaser energy balances itself somewhat so that the periods of running or separation are much less intense. During a union transit, it's very difficult for counterparts to actually separate. The communication tends to stabilize because they're now healing in much closer proximity to one another energetically. It is a real ascension process within the connection. And I feel like by closing the door and pulling your energy back, you're actually going to create space for that union transit to begin. Your person needs to feel your absence. You know, that's going to prompt them to heal, and it's going to allow you to move forward in a way that feels much better for you. So let's get some final guidance cards. I want to get some more of these Keepers of the Light decks. We're going to get some charms as well. And I think when we take this over to the extended, I want to know more about the background and, you know, what is feeding into the decisions you're both making now. And of course, I want to get some more information about where this is shifting to based on what decisions you're making. And just some more reassurance. So we've got Odin with psychic insight. We've got the Holy Spirit, expect miracles. And Lady Nada, heart awakening. Oh, I got chills. Okay, and from this deck, this is the personal power deck. Okay, that one wanted to come out, didn't it? I am wild and free. I am good enough. I am hopeful. And I am connected. Yeah, so separate, you know, that's a very twinny energy. Separation is an illusion. We're never not connected to our person. We don't need to be connected to them in the 3D. And I think you're being asked to embrace that truth. Right. I'm just going to reach in to the bottom and grab a few. Wow, okay, that's quite a lot, but that's fine. So we have the twin quartz. Definitely a twin connection here. I need my space. Yes, you do. I'm too clumsy to be around fragile masculinity. This one comes up so much at the moment. I'm fine. Oh, bless you. Don't overthink it. The bicycle. Hello, I'm yours. Lorna Club. This is Bob. Bob has no arms. Knock, knock, who is it? It isn't Bob. I'm a piece of shit, don't trust me. That's a harsh one. So, psychic insight. This says, your third eye is open. See truth for what it is. Follow your intuition. And I really think your intuition has been desperately smashing down the door of your limiting beliefs, trying to convince you to let go. And so far you have resisted it. You know, this person knows that they love you. We've got this, hello, I'm yours. You know, they know that. But you know, you understand the karmic magnitude of what they're currently navigating. You know they're tangled up with all this trauma and attachment and judgment and all of the crazy things that are going on in their relationship and the wider family unit around it. You know, you know that inside out. What you need to do is accept it. Allow yourself to recognize that you are not okay. You know, give yourself permission to lean into that grief and that loneliness and to close the door on it and to recognize that it's never going to be resolved within this connection. That's something you have to do within yourself. Normally, I would say this is about your person, but I feel this is you. You're not recognizing the masculine energy within you that's still trying to control this. You need that space away from your person. You know, try not to overthink all the potential ramifications of you letting go. There's still a fear that if you let go, it will be a forever thing, even though the deeper part of you trusts and knows it's okay. You know, you can expect miracles. Remember, that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back. You don't need to do anything with your person. You don't need to show up. You don't need to teach them anything. You don't need there to keep the connection alive. You have to trust that it's going to move through those cycles on their own. And right now, you know, they're not feeling very good about themselves, that they are leaning into you. You know, give them space to work out that karma independently so you can have that heart awakening and movement that you need. Awaken to the acceptance of divine love, give and receive in balance. But this is about you. You are enough. And you can maintain that optimism because you're always connected to your person, you know, and they do love you. I really hope this helps. It's going to be all right, part two. I really think that you are moving on to much bigger and better things in which whatever piece you've already anchored in your life is only going to expand. There's only going to be more than that, but there's still a need to grieve and to let go some more. And I really think that the presence of this person in your life is no longer conducive to you growing in the direction that you're meant to. There's something beautiful just beyond the boundary of your awareness, something that you dare not believe or entertain at this stage. You just need to cross over, and it's a simple sidestep, and you can be in that flow right now. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for joining me here. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for your comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this reading, and thank you for subscribing. You can check out my website, happysouls1111.com. You'll find a ton of services and classes and all kinds of cool stuff from me. So come and join me over there. But otherwise, I will see you here next time. Sending you lots of love. Bye. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Tarot del Fuego and the Jaguar. And we're going to pop the Jaguar just over here for a moment whilst we give these a shuffle. Today we're asking for the messages you need the most. This is a reading in which we tap into your own spiritual guides and spiritual team and bring forward whatever you need to hear the most right now that's going to be reassuring and uplifting and help you move forward for your highest good. whatever problems or challenges you're navigating right now. I've just seen the cover card in there. It's not supposed to be in there. Where is it? I just saw it when I was shuffling. I'm sure it will show up again and we can take it out. But yeah, we're going to get all the guidance that you need to hear the most today, just to help you move forward with as much dignity and grace as possible, to help you feel better, to bring you the comfort that you need to help restore your faith and optimism. Whoa, okay, we didn't mean to do that. I'm going to put them back. Now, whilst we are shuffling, this is a really good opportunity for you to just set your intentions for the reading. Also to ask the universe for a sign. And the sign can be anything at all. It's just an opportunity for the universe to let you know that you are heard and you are seen. And a sign can be anything. Trust whatever pops into your head first. It might be an object. It might be an animal, something from nature, a name, a place, a sequence of numbers. Whatever works for you, there is no right or wrong. And pay special attention to the sign that shows up, to the message that shows up alongside your sign. And we'll be using the oracle cards and the charm bowl today as well to get all the messages you need. And don't forget to make a note in the comments of which pile you're watching today. That will really help you know when YouTube recommends this video again, because it will, because you're only watching a fraction of it today. It'll let you know not to watch the same one again, so you can choose something different. And I know I've been gone a while, but just a little reminder that there's over 300 and odd videos, each with 3 to 4 piles each. That's probably around 1,000 piles for you to choose from on my channel. You know, just scroll through the old videos and see which one calls to you when you're looking for answers. You know, all that content is there. There's some real nuggets. I'm going to start curating my old readings because a lot of people that have specific questions, it would be great, wouldn't it, if they were categorized in some way. Maybe we can pull them out in the written word or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, let's do this. Pile 3. There will be an extended reading today, by the way. You can always find the link to that down below. What do you need to know the most today, pile 3? First, I'm going to draw some cards to help me understand what's actually going on, what the circumstance that Spirit wants to address with you is. So first card out, the Empress in reverse. That's distorted feminine energy. 2 of Cups in reverse. The 10 of Cups. The King of Wands in reverse. And the Strength card. Okay, we're going to clarify these. Okay, we've got the Emperor in reverse, clarifying the Empress in reverse. That is so interesting. That's distorted masculine and feminine energy together. 2 of Cups in reverse, the Queen of Pentacles. 10 of Cups, clarified by the Queen of Swords. King of Wands in reverse, clarified by the Knight of Wands in reverse. This is so fascinating. And Strength in reverse, Strength upright actually, is clarified by the Knight of Swords. Okay, we're going to get some oracle cards as well. I'm going to start with the Divine Animal Oracle. That's this deck for those of you that are interested. We've got Wolf, Authenticity. And we have Dolphin, Happiness. And from the Self-Love Oracle, the Gift of Knowing, Third Eye Chakra. Breathe in Prana, Heart Chakra. I feel like I want another one of those. Elevate, Support. God bless you, pile 3. You have been through the ringer. So what I'm seeing about this is that there was a really, really traumatic relationship in your past. Actually, the relationship was beautiful, but it came to a really traumatic end. This person left you in really harsh circumstances. There is undoubtedly a twin flame or soul connection here. Ever since this person moved on, you have awakened to the twin flame journey, and I feel that you're already fairly awake even before it. You've always been drawn to the woo-woo, the sensational and weird. And so you've kind of been in training for light work for a good part of your adult life. And then this person left you and it absolutely broke you. I'm hearing that it took a very long time for you to move past it. I'm hearing that they moved into a relationship with somebody else. That person that they moved into a relationship with, maybe an air sign. Certainly there's a very strong intellectual energy about that. It was someone that was, I want to say, more level-headed but less empathic than you. And so there's something very insidious actually about the energy of the person they ended up with. And I want to say it all occurred behind your back. There's a suggestion maybe that they worked together as well, and that's how they met one another. And you had been so supportive of this person. You'd invested so much in the relationship, and it just feels like they absolutely crushed you when they left in these circumstances and hurt you and betrayed you in the way that they did. Ever since then, you have been on an awakening journey. You've been on a twin flame journey, and you've become aware that the reason you grieved so hard for this person is because they are your divine counterpart. And so you've been on this healing path ever since, but we're seeing a tremendous amount of distortion in the way that energies are moving. And I'm hearing that you're not always honest with yourself about the progress you're making. And I want to start by just making this all okay for you, because our ego does such an amazing job of drawing our attention away from our own truth. And in many ways, it's our ego's job to protect us from, you know, those unpleasant thoughts we have about ourselves. But everyone knows ego isn't terribly discerning. You know, we can self-sabotage ourselves and have really horrible self-created thought forms and self-loathing and non-acceptance of self, and also seemingly seem to avoid the things that we need to pay attention to about ourselves, the things that we can resolve and heal within us. And so you and your person have both been in distorted masculine energy for a really long time. You're the chaser, they're the runner. I feel like they have run pretty consistently ever since they left. They may have cut communication with you entirely. In fact, I'm hearing it's been a really long time since they actually communicated. And you've been so angry. There is such a palpable energy of anger and resentment and frustration and injustice as well. You know, you didn't deserve that. You know you were worthy of something so much more. And despite, you know, being so furious with this person for hurting you in the way they did, it also feels like you just couldn't let go of them in your heart. I'm hearing you have tried to have other relationships, and you have sought that commitment and companionship and security with other people, but you've just never found anything that's kind of stuck or worked out in the way that you actually want it to. And this is another kind of thorn in your side, or in your heart, in fact, another pain point for you, because it just feels like they've moved on. You know, they're building a life with someone else and you haven't yet had that opportunity. I'm hearing that your home life has also been traumatic. You shared your home with someone that created a lot of challenge and also more anger there. So this may have been a grown-up child or a housemate or a family member or just a roommate or something. But, you know, your home life has been kind of dysfunctional and upside down, and I'm hearing has only very recently been brought back into balance. So you have really been through it in the last few years, and I do think it's years that you've been navigating this. And during that time, you have been applying yourself to so many incredible spiritual practices. You've learned so much, you've studied so much, you know, you have really applied yourself to mastering different psychic skills, different holistic or healing skills. But I'm hearing that you're not always leading in that energy. So you're not necessarily applying what you've learned. You're not applying it to yourself, and you're not necessarily working in those fields or applying it to others either. It's like you're just collecting all of this knowledge, this wisdom, this information, but you're not actually doing anything with it. And you are being called to lead, you're being called to action. and you know, you're so skilled. I'd say you're even very qualified, but there is a fear of stepping into that power. We've got 2 Leo energies here, which further emphasizes that energy of leadership, you know, and I would strongly recommend you look at where Leo sits in your chart. But, you know, you were definitely meant to lead or teach others or share all of these skills and this knowledge and this wisdom, first with yourself so that you could truly integrate and embody it, but also there's the definite suggestion that you are meant to share it with others. And for a variety of reasons, that energy's kind of stalled. You haven't been able to do that. And what I'm hearing is it's because you haven't always been able to face yourself. And it may be very triggering for you to hear that because you have been working so hard. And, you know, I think this is like the energy of that I'm picking up on when I say triggered, is that frustration with yourself. Frustration at hearing that it somehow wasn't good enough. And that's not what we're saying, but that's what you're hearing, that's what you're feeling. I'm not good enough, I've not done it right. And so that defense mechanism within you, that kind of burning, stinging energy that makes you think, for God's sake, you know, I've been trying my hardest. Why is it always that I'm not good enough? Why is it always that I've not done it right? This is the part of yourself you need to see. This is a part of yourself you need to acknowledge and feel, because that's the part of you that's wounded. You know, you had a really difficult upbringing. I'm hearing there's a deep mother wound, and a mum who was hypercritical, emotionally negligent, a mum that didn't know how to champion you and support you. And so you are profoundly sensitive to any perceived slight or criticism. You know, you literally feel the burn of it. It hurts. And so this is kind of damaged your ego, which, you know, ego isn't a bad thing. We just need our ego to be balanced and healthy. But yours has been bent out of shape because it had to work overtime to protect you from this really negligent, borderline abusive energy from your parent. And I feel very strongly it is a parent. It wasn't parents. That's not to say there wasn't 2, because we all have 2, but I feel like one may have been absent for you, and it's the mother wound that cut the deepest. And so this kind of defensiveness, this inability to face yourself because of the pain it gives rise to in you, has probably been one of your greatest weaknesses on this journey. And, you know, you're so indignant sometimes about how others behave. You can really judge your friends and your family and your loved ones and hold them to very, very high standards. And you can be very explosive in your anger when challenges or conflict and confrontation arises in those relationships. And you feel so justified in that anger. Anger is such a normal energy for you to be in because it's what you've grown up with. And you're not recognizing how your inability to harness that anger is, I want to say, distorting or thwarting your ability to actually move forward. And I know this is meant to be uplifting. Believe me, it's going to be. But we have to hit these home truths first, because my guides are saying you are so powerful. Your heart is so pure and beautiful. And I know that you know that. I know that you know your heart is in the right place, and that it's big, and that it feels all, and that you would go out of your way for the people you love. You give the shirt off your back. You are such a good and loving person, and you know how to love. You know how to give love. And that anger that you feel is justified because it's the part of you that knows you deserve better. It's the part of you that loves you. And anger is a useful emotion. It's not an emotion we want to repress, because anger alerts us to when somebody's hurting us. Anger alerts us to any perceived threat or someone not treating us right. So it's not that your anger is wrong. Your anger is entirely justified. I just want to make that okay for you and to say, you know, you're not wrong. But also your anger has to be harnessed so that it can be used in productive ways. Because at the moment, your anger isn't harnessed and it's exploding in every direction, and it's reached a point in your life that it's become destructive, and it's sabotaging what could be really rich and beautiful relationships in your life. Now, I'm hearing that you are noticing this across the board. It's understandable why you'd be angry with your mum. Your mum hasn't changed, and your mum probably can't change at this stage in her life. And, you know, her behavior is probably more triggering than anybody else's on this planet. But you're being asked to trust that even though your mum can't change, you can definitely learn how to react differently and how not to feel so wounded by those perpetuated behaviors. I'm also hearing that this shows up in your friendships and at your relationships, and probably even with your own family and children. And so, you know, when someone upsets you, this anger kind of rises up, and it's so explosive that it ends up creating more problems than there were before. And so these high standards that you hold people to, you know, because you hold yourself to them, you can get so furious when people aren't living up to your ideal that you want that reciprocity and to be treated the same. But you're being asked to consider that sometimes the anger that comes up is intensified by the anger that still lingers from all the other wounds of your past. And that's to say that the anger is more than is justified in any given situation, and the anger is driving people away, and it's making it difficult for you to actually resolve things or to communicate from a place of peace and equanimity. The anger is rooted in the mother relationship, it's rooted in the relationship you had with your twin in the past, and it's so strong. And the thing is, anger is quite a high vibrational energy. So I'm also hearing that you are, you know, when it comes to your emotional range, you have so much emotional power. That's to say you can feel it all. I really feel that you're probably a water sign, and, you know, you have that really deep connection to your emotional self. But the challenge is when we feel it all, you know, we have to feel the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, we can't feel big love, big empathy, big gratitude, and all the good stuff without also feeling it big on all the really hard stuff. And so you have learned to limit your emotional range in order to avoid the really heavy wounding that has made you so uncomfortable. And so as you've kind of reduced your emotional range, if you look on the emotional spiral, if you Google that image, you will see that anger is quite a high vibration. And so when you are being triggered, your emotional body is stretching as far as it is able, and it's kind of hitting that anger point, which is why all the energy is concentrated there. And so by limiting your emotional range, what you're actually allowing yourself to do is avoid the deep pain and wounding and healing that needs to be done. And I'm being asked to give you some examples of how this might be showing up in your life in ways that you're not aware of. So I'm hearing, for example, you've lost a lot of friends over the last few years, and you've probably cut them off because they didn't show up in the way you needed them at the time. Perhaps they weren't as communicative as you would like. Perhaps they were not reciprocating your affections and your efforts in the way that you felt you deserved. And so you just kind of very harshly cut them off. You felt very rejected. You felt very hurt. You weren't always able to communicate calmly with these people. So you may have lashed out angrily, and, you know, it's kind of caused people to back away or relationships to disintegrate. I'm hearing in some cases you didn't even address those issues with people, that you actually just cut them off and stopped speaking to them, or showed them a kind of cold front where you might not have outright ignored them, but you were perhaps a little bit frosty. And, you know, I'm hearing that even as I say this, you're reflecting on those relationships and friendships, and you're thinking, well, yeah, you know, I'm not going to hang around for people that aren't ready to treat me right. I'm not going to tolerate people who can't meet me on the bridge and bring the same amount of affection to the table, and da-da-da-da-da. But what you're missing, the vital thing you're missing, is that the reason you were so triggered by these people's failure to give you what you need or to reciprocate in the way that you need is because you needed it. You know, a need in a friendship isn't healthy. Need reveals where something in you is missing, and that you're measuring those interactions by what you can get from it. That's conditional love. That's the opposite of what you are intending to learn in your twin flame journey. You know, this is that kind of conditional love is what drives people apart, because in the vast majority of cases, the people that fail to meet your needs are not doing that because they don't love you. The people that don't show up, that maybe aren't able to reciprocate in the way you want, the people that maybe don't maintain communication and that upsets you, these are probably people that are struggling with their own life challenges, circumstances and limitations. And when we dump people or abandon people or reject people because they're not matching up to our personal sense of value, what we're actually doing is, you know, basically cutting them off because we don't think we can get the vital sustenance we need from them. You know, I can no longer get food from you. You're not satiating my hunger, so you're worthless to me now, and I'm angry that you've cut off that food supply. That's essentially what you're doing. You know, most of these people loved you and cared about you very much, but you cut them off because they were no longer delivering and meeting your needs. You know, and sometimes I'm hearing, despite your empathic nature, you didn't necessarily think to inquire what was going on in those people's lives, that they couldn't show up with the usual standard of friendship that they may have been capable of in the past, because you tell yourself so many stories, you jump to so many assumptions, and you're feeling between the lines because you're paying attention not to the balanced reality of the situation, but to how bad it feels. You're paying attention to how much you feel that rejection, and you're feeling that rejection is triggering your anger, because that's the only point you're allowing yourself to stretch to, and you're then reacting to that anger. And so, you know, I just feel that yes, we all deserve love, we all deserve support and friendship, but we also have to be aware that no human being on this planet can be responsible for offering that to us all of the time. You know, every human being navigates circumstances that challenge them, times in their lives where they can't really take care of themselves and have so little left in their tank for others. And you could argue, well, they should have spoke to me, they should have come and told me, I would have supported them, I would have been a friend to them. But you have to understand that sometimes that's not what someone feels they can do, or it's not what they need. And to love someone is to give them permission to be themselves and to choose according to what's right for them in any moment, and to simply lovingly hold space. True friendships, true love lasts an eternity because it doesn't make any demands of the other. It knows that love exists, and that any absence of expression of that love is never personal. It's just to do with how their lives are kind of moving in alternate directions at specific times. And so you can be very unforgiving, and again you have these very high expectations of what others should be offering. But what I want to remind you as Pile 3 is this isn't your true nature. This isn't who you really are. You're not this angry person. It's just the energy you're stuck in. I know that you are one of the most loving people on this planet. You have such a pure heart. And that's why it's so easy for you to have these expectations, because you would so willingly bend over backwards and show up for everyone. But therein, there is such a powerful and impactful lesson for you to recognize, because what that really communicates is that you will abandon your own needs, your own comfort to support others, because you don't have boundaries, because you're not able to say, do you know what, I can't hold space for you right now. Do you know what, I'm struggling and I just need to be on my own. Because you can't pull back and take care of yourself and put your comfort first. You don't understand why other people can't. You can't reconcile that in your mind because you care so much. You couldn't do that. You couldn't say to someone, I haven't got time for you right now. Or you couldn't just ignore someone when you're not feeling good. You know, even when you are on your knees, suffering and struggling, you would still go out of your way to help someone. And in your mind, that's what you see as right. But that's people pleasing, Pile 3. That's what your mother taught you to do. That regardless of what was going on in your life, their needs mattered more, and that you should always show up for the people you love. It's a lovely ideal, but in real terms, it's not a healthy outlook. Everyone deserves to choose themselves, and everyone will go through things in their lives where they really need to do that. You know, and everyone will go through things that distort who they are, just like you're doing. You know, you're expressing all of this anger. You're not really an angry person. You're experiencing anger right now because that energy is stuck. But it's not the truth of who you are. And all the people that have seen you explode with anger, you know, they might cast you in their story as the villain. But you know you're not a villain. You know you have a pure heart. But you can understand that people are judging you on that behavior, just as you judge others on their behaviors or their lack of action or communication. You know, all of us need to release those judgments. We need to understand that the very vast majority of us are doing our absolute best to love in all the ways we know how, and to love with all the energy we have to offer. And that's not always going to be stable or consistent flow of love. What you're really being asked to do is to recognize that when you love yourself, when you give that energy to yourself, you're able to let everyone else off the hook. And it's not about excusing bad behavior. It's about recognizing that their inability to love you in any given moment is not because of a lack of love. It's because of the limitations they are experiencing within themselves at that time. For example, when you reflect on some of the intense and hostile arguments you've had with people you've loved, when you reflect on how you may have hurt people or said harsh things, you know it wasn't because you didn't love them. You know that in that moment you were just furious and you were expressing that fury, but that fury did not discount the love you feel in your heart. So, you know, you have to give others that same understanding that you can offer yourself. And your palpable self-loathing, your non-acceptance of self, your inability to love yourself in the way you need is also showing up in all of your relationships as this anger, these demands, these high expectations, and then the consequent fallout that arises above it. And this is a vicious cycle that you've been seeing. I'm hearing that even though this person that left you, even though you loved them so much, anger had become a normal part of that relationship. And you don't understand why they left, you know, because you know that you loved them so much, that you did so much for them, that yes, you may have been angry sometimes. Yes, you may have been the kind of person to fly off the handle, but didn't you make up for it in all of these beautiful ways? Didn't you support them till the ends of the earth? You know, and so you're recognizing that, you know, love can exist in addition to sometimes distorted behaviors. And yet you're not necessarily offering other people that same grace, you know, even though you can recognize it in yourself. You've been on the twin flame journey for so long is what I'm hearing. And, you know, you've been strengthening your heart, but you haven't give yourself permission to release. Look at how triggering this energy is. This is the Knight of Swords. And look at this. There's all of this dark energy, the eyes which suggest the ego in the mind. There's these thunderbolts and this fire, this burning energy. You know, this looks like a very chaotic scene. It's explosive energy. And so that strength of heart is being subdued by the fury in you, the need to shout and argue and engage in conflict and to be assertive or dominant or tell someone how it is. You know, you've got to get your anger under control. And you can only do that if you lean into your pain. And you're so ready to do that, Pile 3. You know how to do it. You're more studied than anyone else. You are so powerful. You have such incredible gifts and your heart is so big and so beautiful, but you need to give it to someone else. You've been learning this for a long time, but you're still resisting a daily practice of self-love. You don't look after your body. You don't honor your own feelings. You don't give yourself the time and space you need to reparent yourself in the ways that you need. You're still so furious with your mum for not having loved you and been the mum you needed and wanted. And you're still so angry with all the other people that love you in some way. You're constantly judging, as I said earlier, all of these relationships. You're measuring and judging those interactions by what you are or aren't getting from them. And the friends that you value the most and that you stay friends with are the ones that are meeting those expectations consistently, because that's what you feel you deserve. But that's not real life. Even the most loving, bestest friends in the world cannot meet your expectations all the time, and neither are they responsible to. You know, that's an inside job. You've got to stop giving your power away. Stop deferring that energy to someone else. That's what perpetuates this cycle of wounding, because no one with the best will or the biggest love in the world can maintain that all the time. Sooner or later, they're gonna let you down because they're human. And they're gonna fall out of sync with their ability to do that for whatever reason. And if you're gonna feel the pain of rejection every time that happens, you're gonna end up being really lonely, you know? So this is standing in the way of your relationships. When strength comes up, strength is always about taming the inner beast. You know, that's the ego in us. In the strength card, in the traditional image, we see this woman prizing open the mouth of the lion. In this card, it's some kind of sea serpent. Yeah, look, she's prizing open its mouth. Now, it doesn't surrender to her because she's strong. In fact, you can see here, she is much smaller than this creature. It's not her physical strength. It's not her intellectual prowess. It's not that she is dominant or assertive. It's not that her communication is convincing. The reason this beast surrenders to her is because of her light. It surrenders in the presence of her divinity and her strength of heart. And the message about this card is that the heart is always the greatest strength. Love is the biggest power. And you have that in bounds. You have so much love in you. You are such a loving, loving, sweet person. And you just need to let the love be bigger than the beast. We've all got a beast in us. It's the animalistic part of us that reacts. It's the ego that is so furious at the challenging emotions we're feeling or that others are triggering in us. It's the part of us that feels separate from that oneness within us. You know, this is the journey that you're on. You're learning about love. You're learning to bring that love in. You're learning to be in that love. And yet there is so much resistance to you stepping into it. Jaguar. Now, I want to say that in Moon Key, Jaguar is the energy of swift action. And in Moon Key, Mother Sister Jaguar is such a powerful, transformative energy. I really think that you should invite this power animal into your meditations and journeys, which I'm hearing you don't make time for every day. Just start by giving yourself 10 minutes. Commit 10 minutes. Because what's beautiful about this pile 3 is that when we unblock these energies, when we turn these cards upright, you get everything that you want. Everything is going to be okay. All of a sudden, we have balanced counterparts. We have a relationship that leads to commitment. We have you stepping into your true mission of leadership and bringing all of this wisdom and light. You're a light bringer. It's what you're meant to be doing. But you've just been kind of jogging around the sidelines, ignoring, you know, the strategy, and just desperately trying to get yourself fit while seemingly ignoring exactly what you needed to do to be in that. And, you know, what you need to be fit is to start committing to yourself, committing to that relationship. You know, the lone wolf, and this is a number 17, which connects the energy of the star, optimism and hope. And look, this woman is marching through the ice, marching through those parts of herself that have been frozen and ignored. And she is meeting that loner wolf within. And you know, wolves leave their pack, not just because they're outcasts, but because they have to go away and start their own. There can only be one alpha wolf in a pack. So, you know, there's only room for one leader. And that means that the lone wolf isn't really a lone wolf. He's the brave soul that's going out there to start over and lead his own family, lead his own group. You know, you are not a loner, and you're not destined to be alone. You're destined to lead. And that may mean that you have to embrace that period of solitude and strengthen yourself, strengthen your resolve, learn to give yourself what you need. So long as you're leaning into others for it, you're getting further away from your true mission. You are supposed to be happy. The universe wants you to be happy. It wants you to co-create the life you're meant to have. You're meant to have love. You're meant to have all the wonderful things that you've longed for and dreamed of. But you are being your own worst enemy and saboteur in keeping yourself from those energies. You have the gift of knowing. You're intensely psychic and gifted. And look at this, breathe in prana. This is about giving yourself permission on the daily to be present with who you are. When we are breathing, when we are deliberately focused on our breathing, we are truly present with ourselves. Because normally we breathe on autopilot, and that means we're unconscious. The brain and its programs are doing their own thing. The mental body and physical body are working on autopilot on some pre-programmed system. But when we choose our breath, when we deliberately choose and stand in awareness of our breath, we are taking back power over the mind. We are no longer unconscious because we are deliberately choosing and controlling our state of being. And that's why breathing or breath work is such an integral part of our meditative practice and our connection to self and the healing. It's as simple as giving yourself space to breathe. And whilst you're breathing, you can be aware of your thoughts. You can observe your thoughts. You can realize that you are not the thoughts. You are the soul that is aware of them. Path 3, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You're probably more skilled than me. You're probably more trained than me. You probably have a ton more qualifications. You have this gift, but you're not applying it to your life. You're going through your days operating on autopilot, reacting to your triggers rather than using those skills to lean into your pain and elevate yourself, which is where you'll find the support. You're not going to find the support you need and want outside of you. You may find some people that help you along, but you're never going to find the totality of it outside yourself. I want to get some more information about your person, about your twin. What do you need to know about that? What's the guidance there? The Lovers in reverse, Temperance in reverse, the Hierophant, the Two of Wands in reverse, and the Seven of Swords. And clarifying these, so clarifying the Lovers in reverse, we've got the Six of Swords. Clarifying Temperance in reverse, we've got the Two of Pentacles in reverse. Clarifying the Hierophant, we've got the World in reverse. Clarifying the Two of Wands in reverse, we've got Death in reverse. And clarifying the Seven of Swords, we have the Moon. Okay, so what I want you to remember about this is, again, these cards may be reversed, but they are on the table. That means those energies are present in your reality, but they are blocked from flowing. And so the Lovers is union energy. But when it's in reverse, that union energy cannot flow. It's clarified here by the Six of Swords. So these are both number sixes, the number of love. And the Six of Swords is about moving on out of the storm into calmer waters. It's a rite of passage. Here you can see how painfully hard that is. It's like walking on sharp swords. It's explosive. But look at the growth that occurs as a result of this shedding. Woo. As a result of facing our own discomfort and moving through it. What I'm hearing is that your twin flame connection was meant to experience a union transit some time ago, but you have not allowed yourself to tread the coals. You've not allowed yourself to fully lean into that pain, to embrace it on the daily, and to keep marching through it so that it can be subdued and brought back to balance. You know, the proof is in the pudding. If you were healed, if you were loving yourself, you wouldn't feel anger for your mum anymore. You wouldn't feel the furious resentment and anger for your ex, for your twin anymore. You wouldn't be pissed off with all of these friends that have seemingly let you down. You wouldn't be focused on those energies. You know, feelings, we're not meant to dwell in them. We're meant to pay attention to what they're telling us and then act accordingly and move on. But you've got stuck in this energy because you won't allow yourself to yield to the pain, to the discomfort, even though you've got all the skills to. It needs to be brought back into balance. Two of Pentacles is about balance, so is Temperance. It's about bringing everything to harmony. Again, look at how different the story is. When we turn these upright, we've got the divine feminine and masculine, we've got the union energy of lovers and finally moving on from the pain, and we have that heaven created on earth with the harmony of the temperance and that rebalancing of the energies, the rebirth that occurs. Look at all these blooms coming back to life, growing again because of that light. The Hierophant is about learning. It's about applying yourself to the spiritual lessons that need to be activated within you. This is clarified by the world in reverse. You and your person know it's not over between you. Neither one of you has gone a single day without thinking of the other. And yet you think, well, my person's with someone else. You know, they've chosen someone else. They've not chosen me. It's over. It's done. What am I supposed to do if they don't want me? You're not understanding that it's just an energy. They can't choose you. And they can't choose that different energy, because death in reverse is an ability to transform and start over. And Two of Wands, and look how twinny that energy is. Two of Wands is it being impossible to actually transform or to change. And so again, if we turn these cards upright, we have learning completion, we have decisiveness, and we have decisions that lead to endings and new beginnings. Completely different storyline. The universe is essentially reassuring you that you and your person are meant to be together. You are meant to find your way back to each other, but that only happens when you find your way back to yourself. And at the moment, both of you are kidding yourselves. Look at this Seven of Swords. The lion, and bearing in mind this has come up around those Leo energies, the lion is blindfolded. It's simply reacting unconsciously to the pain. It's roaring back. Remember, the lion is the beast. The Seven of Swords is about deceit and betrayal. You know, this is about how you both deceive and betray yourselves, how you're not really seeing what all of this pain and suffering was for. It was to teach you. Again, this is about authenticity and learning to trust. The moon is about fear and illusion. You know, when we navigate by our intuition, we're not given a project plan. We have to take those steps in the dark and trust that we're moving in the right direction. And we can only trust if we have faith, because we can't see that the direction is right. We can only see a step in front of us. Faith is knowing something and trusting in it, even though there's no tangible evidence. And that's why the moon represents that faith, or the fear of not knowing. But you have the gift of knowing. You feel it deep in your bones, in your soul, that you're meant to be with this person. But your faith is smashed to pieces every day when you look on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, and you see this person in a relationship with someone else. And you're reminded that they left you. You're reminded that they hurt you. You're reminded they're not choosing you. And that anger and fury and resentment that comes up because of the rejection and abandonment you feel keeps you stuck. You know, you have so much power and you can do this. I believe in you, Pile 3. You've got so much power and energy. You just need to apply it. So let's get some more guidance cards and some charms. I know I'm being really passionate, but man, I'm feeling the passion. I'm feeling the passion for you because I know you can do it. I know you're so ready for this. And you know, I'm even hearing you haven't watched a YouTube reading in so long, and there was something weird that just kind of, you know, pulled you back today, and you thought, go on, I'll see what's in that for me. You know, you needed to hear this today. Now is your time. Okay, we've got Dwal Call, Dharma unfolding. And we've got Lord Shiva, transcendence. Rise up and honor your inner force. Steps are being given, dance with the universe. I love that so much. Okay, and from this deck, this is the personal power deck. We've got I surrender. So, you know, I think in many ways you think you've surrendered because you've tried desperately to stop thinking about your person, to pretend it's in the past, to pretend that you've moved on. That's not surrender, that's running. That's avoiding. Surrender is a point of neutrality. I am curious. If you were surrendered, you would no longer feel angry or hurt, or that it was futile or pointless. I am determined. Okay, and from the Divine Abundance Oracle, sacrifice, extraordinary. Peacock has shown up twice for you, by the way, and awakening. And from the Charm Bowl, okay, so I'm just going to give it a good turn and then reach in to the middle at the bottom and grab some. Okay, let's go down. Please excuse my puppy, she's just freaked out by the charm bowl noise. Okay, so we have the record player. We have dead inside but still horny. Oh dear, that's a funny one. Okay, we've got the stopwatch. We have the, ooh, I love you. We have the dead battery. We have the clam or the shell. We have this one, which is F-boy repellent. And we have the crown. Okay. So I want to start with these two that we drew first. Dharma unfolding. Remember that you are on a path. Take one step at a time to happiness. You know, this is the universe saying, look, the divine plan is unfolding. You just have to take steps forward. It's time to get back on the path. Transcendence, rise up, honor your inner force, recognize, the power within yourself, because steps are being given. Allow yourself to dance with the universe. I feel for all of this spiritual learning you've been doing, you're not actually, as I said, applying it. You're not trusting it. You're not stepping into that transcendence, that oneness within you, where all of that knowing resides and where you'll get those next steps. Sacrifice. Sometimes surrender is painful, but God is cutting away all that needs to go. Illusions, obsessions, addictions. It's a sacrifice to love. It's a trial by fire. You have to go through the pain of the healing to release all of that anger, that fury, that rejection, that discomfort within yourself, so that you can transcend it and get past it and step into the strength of your beautiful, loving heart, pile 3. You can do this. There's a wild and impetuous uniqueness to you that deserves to be honored. You do have extraordinary power, extraordinary presence and light, you know. And I think part of you, this is the part that you struggle to believe, that you are actually special, that you are worthy of being revered and followed, that you're worthy of being a leader, that you are good enough, that you can be loved enough, that you can hold your energy enough. You know, deep down, all of that rejection and pain of the past and that emotional neglect has wounded you to such a place that you don't trust this about yourself. There's a part of you within that distortion of the ego that tries to assert it, but you have to feel it too. And you can't feel it if you're limiting the range of your emotional body. Oh my Lord, wake me from my life as a spiritual sheep. May I hear you through my own instincts and common sense. So a spiritual sheep is someone that will go and listen to the guru, someone that will read all the book and take the classes, and they will keep asking the teacher, teach me about love, tell me what this means. And they'll gather all of that knowledge, but they will never go in and seek it for themselves. They will never lean into their own hearts and truly embody what spirituality is. You know, we awaken again and again and again, because every time we shift, another layer of awareness and light is peeled back and revealed. You're being asked to recognize that you are not a sheep, you are a lion. You know, you are a shepherd. You're not meant to walk with the sheep. You're meant to help them find their way back to themselves. It's time for you to step away from the herd and start living in that powerful energy you have. It's time to put your crown on, my friend. Dear heart, you can do this. Your person is still so into you. They are still so into you. They fantasize about you all the time, and you feel them in your dreams. You feel the strength of that astral connection. I know it hasn't been validated in the 3D because they're still in this other relationship. But you know, they're not doing good without you. They've been struggling ever since too. And even as I say that, there's a part of there's a part of you that goes, ha, good, they deserve it. You know, allow yourself to laugh at that. Allow yourself to go, wow, look at my ego go. You know, that's not my heart speaking. That's my inner beast. My heart loves this person. My heart wants nothing more than just to be with them in love. Why am I, you know, feeling so vengeful and resentful to say, serves you right? You know, that's not love. That's anger, Face your anger. Be real with yourself about it. Your person's struggling as well. We've got dead battery. We've got F-boy repellent, which means I would imagine their current partner isn't liking them that much either. We've got the shell, which is them not coming out of themselves, and they find you in music. This is where they connect with you the most powerfully. This is where they feel you. And they're counting down the times. Look, the numbers that are indicated here are 7 and 1. Those are the numbers of divinity. Combined, it's the star, the energy of optimism, hope, and wishfulness. This person runs through the scenario of what occurred between you two in their head all the time and wishes they'd done it different. Surrender. Be curious. Be determined. And this is about B. B is about collective movement. It's about leaning in to the energy that's available to you. And this is number 42, which is Emperor and High Priestess, leading that community as a psychic. You need to be determined now. I want you to go and get all the certificates that you've gathered, and all the books that you've read. And I want you to write down just how skilled and powerful you are. And then I want you to go into a meditation on the daily and keep asking for guidance of what steps you're going to take to use it, to apply it to yourself and the world around you. Oh, I feel it so powerfully for you, Pile 3. You're going to make waves in this world. You're an incredibly loving person. You know, you were never wrong about that. And you were never wrong about deserving it back. But when you emanate that love, when you tap into it within yourself, you'll realize that love creates love, not demand or anger. It's really hard to love an angry person because they keep you at arm's length. You know, your anger is a reflection of your vulnerability and your fear of love, your fear of not being able to hold on to love, your fear of not having enough of it, your fear of losing it or being let down. You know, love isn't angry. I really hope this helps. We're going to take this to the extended. I want to know more about what's actually going on with your twin in their relationship. And, you know, what we're seeing here is that literally in the present, a shift in energy will create a complete shift of circumstances. So I want to get more information about that as well. If this has resonated, you can find the link to the extended down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. Thank you so much for your comments, for your beautiful, beautiful words. They uplift me so much. It's so lovely to hear from you guys. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for watching my adverts. That's such a beautiful energy exchange, and I'm so grateful for the time you took to do that. Don't forget to check out my website. If you would like to get to know me better, you can find all of my services and classes on there. And that's happysouls1111.com. Again, link down below, and I will see you next time. Take care, Pile 3. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Ladybird and the Sunstone and the Sun and Moon Tarot. And today we are asking for whatever you need to hear the most right now to help you feel uplifted and reassured. Whatever you're navigating in your life, however challenging, confusing, painful or uncomfortable it is, we're appealing to your spirit guides to bring forward the messages you need the most to feel better and to help you move forward with faith and optimism. So I'm going to give these a good shuffle. Let's move your ladybug over there. I hope you like my crystal grid today. I'm so pleased with it. I can't stop looking at it. It's been on my desk longer than it needs to be. And even when I finish my reading today, I don't know if I'm going to be able to clear it away. I just love it so much. Okay, whilst I am shuffling, now's a really good time to set your intentions for the reading. If you don't know what to intend, just set the intention that you're ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. We're going to be using the oracle cards and the charm bowl as well today. There will be an extended reading if this one resonates with you. You can always find a link for that in the description box below. Let's do this. You can also ask the universe for a sign. So a sign can be anything at all. It just gives the universe an opportunity to reassure you that you are seen and you are heard, to restore some faith in the magic. Pay special attention as well to the messages that show up with your sign. And just trust whatever pops into your head first. A sign can be anything. It could be an animal, an object, it could be something from nature, it could be a place or a sequence of numbers. Whatever works for you, there is no right or wrong. Okay, Let's see what's going on here, pile 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw some cards to help me get some understanding of the context of your situation that Spirit wants to address with you, or whatever it is that you need reassurance around, that everything's going to be okay. Let's do this. Okay, first card out is the Chariot. The Star. The Hermit in reverse. I'm just going to move these over so we've got a bit more room. The Hanged Man. The Six of Cups in reverse. And we're going to clarify these. So clarifying the Chariot. Oh, okay. That's not an actual tarot card. That's the cover card for the deck. Let's take that out. So Queen of Cups, clarifying the Chariot. Clarifying the Star. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Clarifying the Hermit in reverse. We've got the Seven of Swords in reverse. Clarifying the Hanged Man, we've got the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. And clarifying the Six of Cups in reverse, we've got the Two of Wands in reverse. Now we will get more tarot cards as we go, but let's get some oracle cards. First, I'm going to start with the Divine Animals Oracle. I'm trying to make a habit of showing you the boxes. A lot of people ask me about the deck, so you'll know how to find them easier. I love this one. I love animal decks in general, but this is my fave. Seahorse. Beautiful. Love seahorse energy. It's one of my power animals. Owl. Also a favourite. I feel like we need to get one more. Hyena. This is such an interesting hyena card. I love the contrast between light and dark. Okay. And from the Self-Love Oracle, I'm just showing you the box. Okay, Star, good fortune. Soul lesson, joy, heart chakra. And that's number 36 and 13. 14, 4 and 38, for those of you looking for numbers. 27, the gift of connection, crown chakra. Okay, so we'll get more as we go, but we're going to start with where we are, and I'm just going to nudge these over slightly. I know I'm being really anal about lining it all up, but you know, it just feels right. Let's move that one there. So the current circumstance. There has been big changes for you, pile 4. So when the Chariot comes through, this is always about divine intervention, the universe tugging you in certain directions. And you have undoubtedly matured through this process. You've had to. You've had to grow. You've had to expand. It was a situation which kind of pushed you into self-awareness, pushed you into developing more power and autonomy around your state of being, and specifically your emotions, because we've got the Queen of Cups here, and she's all about emotional intelligence. She's about that nurturing, soulful connection to our heart, but she's also representative of emotional power and regulation. She often has a lid on her cup, which is indicative of her ability to measure or regulate her own emotions. And so I just feel that you have shifted quite dramatically into a much more expanded, grown and mature energy as a result of some very quick and challenging changes that occurred in your life. It was like an unexpected twist of fate, I want to say. The star is about wishing, and the Wheel of Fortune is a very auspicious energy. It shows us that things are still changing. It carries with it the energy of uncertainty and ambiguity. And I think it's worth mentioning as well, because it is significant, that the star comes after the Tower. So it's also, the Tower is also a number 7 card, like the Chariot. So whatever this massive transformation was, it probably felt catastrophic at the time, you know, with everything kind of crumbling down, coming to ground zero. And that's how you arrive. Pardon my puppy. Kiara, come on, come here, settle now. Sorry about that. I'm not going to start again. We're just, I know it's not very professional, but you know, such is life with dogs. Right, the star, where were we? So the star comes after the Tower, after something big has collapsed, after the dramatic change. And the star is about rebuilding from ground zero. It's kind of looking at things from the perspective of, okay, you know, there's nothing left to salvage. I've salvaged what I can. Now I have to start over. But much like the Wheel of Fortune, there's an energy of uncertainty about it, because even though the star is about wishing, it doesn't guarantee what will come to fruition. It's the hopeful energy of making that wish, of dreaming a new future into being, of imagining how things could be. And the Wheel of Fortune represents that spin of the wheel that will determine exactly how things land. And so I do think that you have kind of leaned quite heavily, surrendered even, to some kind of higher divine plan, and you've had no choice but to do that. We see that represented again here with the Hanged Man, but the Hermit is in reverse and the 7 of Swords is in reverse. And so, you know, I definitely think that whatever these dramatic changes were, you feel very alone. Whether or not you're literally on your own is irrelevant. You feel alone, and you feel like you have not got what it takes to be able to fulfill the wishes or kind of move forward in the way that you want to. And Spirit wants to just reassure you that that simply is not true. This is a limiting belief. It's self-sabotaging, and it certainly doesn't serve you. The 7 of Swords is about deceit and betrayal. And look at this energy here. You know, he's holding one sword. It says futility as well as the label on this. So you may think it seems impossible as well, that it's futile. But they're holding one sword, and a single sword represents truth, authenticity, and the totality of all that is. And you can see that there's 5 swords scattered, which are about conflict, confrontation, and wounding. And so you can see here with the Hermit in reverse how you are looking outside of yourself for resolution, for answers. You are convinced that someone needs to come along and kind of help you, and that you can't get through this on your own. The Hermit, when it is in reverse, doesn't just show a disassociation from self and an inability to lean into your own inner truth. It also shows a fixation on your external reality in the material world and looking to that for answers. So this is kind of seeking practical solutions rather than allowing yourself to be intuitively guided. So such a contradiction of energies there, because on the one hand, you've only come this far because you did kind of surrender to that divine flow of energy. But now that you're actually here, and it's been so traumatic, it's like you're really struggling with the nature of, I guess, how the divine plan presents, right? Because it doesn't come with a roadmap. It's not like, here's the handbook, this is what's going to happen next. It doesn't offer you that reassurance. You know, intuition just says, take this step next. You know, this is the next step. I know you can't see all the way where you're going, but this is the step that you need to take now. And it feels like whatever trauma you have navigated through, you've kind of fallen out of balance with that inner faith, with that inner truth, with that inner trust. And, you know, the Hanged Man is trying to shift perspective, but I feel like your monetary situation, your financial situation has become so challenged and so stressed that it's kind of, the doubt is creeping in. You know, it's easy to trust when you're seeing a lot of miracles happening, and somehow, even though there's drama, chaos, or catastrophe, you seemingly land on your feet. But I feel like the universe is cutting you a bit close to the bone. And, you know, it's asking you to have faith in something which is seemingly, in your mind, impossible. And, you know, I really think that's why you've been brought here today, because you just need to be reassured that you can indeed trust. You know, what's important when we look at reversals is to remember that those energies are present on the table. They simply represent a blocked energy. And that's really empowering to recognize, because it's showing you where the energy is blocked and therefore giving you, you know, the power to resolve it, to unblock that energy and allow it to flow. If you're able to do that with the Hermit, which is about going within and finding that truth within you and resolving that inner part of you that, you know, it just feels like you can't, there's no point even looking at it from the inside because it's just too chaotic outside. You know, this is when you actually have an opportunity to resolve that, which follows with the Nine of Pentacles in the upright position, which is material self-sufficiency. That's all the bills getting paid. That's all the work you need falling into place. It's everything coming back to balance. And you can see here it's represented as gain, and it's also illustrated with sunflowers, which are symbolic of joy, the harvest and abundance. It's such a beautiful energy. So you're also being asked to consider that wealth is more than money. You know, wealth is also about health. It's about relationships, love, and, you know, our well-being in so many other ways. Abundance doesn't just have to refer to money in the material world. And I do think in many ways, you know, like I said, I don't feel like you're literally alone. I feel like you're not necessarily identifying with the amount of support around you, but you are leaning into gratitude. You are recognizing how much you do have. You are recognizing that you may not be wealthy in the material sense, but you are abundant in other ways. Regards a soulmate, which I think is what's left a big question mark for you as well, you don't need to do anything about that. You know, I think you made a decision maybe to cut them off, and you're constantly questioning yourself and asking yourself if that was the right thing to do. Was it a mistake? Is it going to inhibit you from progressing with that connection in the future? The answer to that is no. The universe needs you to know that there were no mistakes. There was only lessons. And everything that happened for a reason. You know, everything is as it's meant to be. So you can stop beating yourself up. You can stop guilt tripping yourself. Now, when we lean into our intuition, and I think this is where your intuition collapsed. This is where you stopped trusting. This is where you kind of got a bit lost and where you started doubting. Because you made that decision and you made it with a specific outcome in mind. Or maybe you even made it on the fly without thinking too much about the consequences. Regardless, the consequences have been rather harsh. They haven't worked out in a way that you wanted them to. And so that's caused you to think, I was wrong to make that decision. It felt so right at the time, but it clearly wasn't right because look at how things have worked out. That is not true. What we have to bear in mind that sometimes the most direct route to where we're meant to be going is through the eye of the storm. And so just because we make a decision and it doesn't work out exactly as we wanted it to, doesn't mean it was the wrong decision or that we moved in the wrong direction. It just means that there was a challenge ahead, an obstacle to overcome, something that we needed to move through in order to get where we're supposed to be going. So you weren't wrong. You didn't misjudge this. You didn't act out of sync with your inner truth. You did what you felt was right at the moment, and you're being asked to trust that it was right, even though the consequences have been really challenging and difficult for you. You know, I really think that the decision you made will ultimately lead to fulfillment with your soulmate, and you had to let go of them. I'm hearing, you know, at the end of the day, that situation between you and them wasn't healthy at the time. It wasn't congruent with your relationship needs, and you weren't yourself either. That connection didn't give you the space to grow in the way that you needed to, and other stuff has occurred in your life since, which I think you can now appreciate how important it was that you did have that time to be in solitude, to do that work, to do that growth. So I really feel like whatever's gone off here, whatever this huge transformation was, everything is as it's meant to be. You were never wrong. There's nothing for you to feel guilty about. What needs to happen now is you simply need to start leaning back into your intuition and restore that faith. You know, you're already able to see both sides of the fence. You are a deeply intuitive person. You have that power. It's not the case that you are no longer able to tune into it. It's just that you've chosen not to because you've stopped trusting yourself and you've stopped trusting your heart to lead you in the right direction. That's the mistake, because your heart is like a compass. It's always helping you face your true north. And, you know, the mind thinks it's very clever. The mind thinks it knows everything. Well, let me tell you, the mind doesn't know shit. The mind is figuring things out based it on recorded history. It's no more effective than AI that's drawing on available information to make a concerted guess or the balance of probability around risk assessment. You know, if you asked an AI, should I marry this person? It's not going to be able to give you an accurate answer because it can't see into your heart. It can't possibly know the right thing to do when it comes to matters of the heart. It might be able to tell you where to put your money and where to invest it. It might be able to tell you which job looks the most secure. It can tell you all about history, but it can't read between the lines and tell you how that really felt or what it really means or what the purpose of it was. That's higher consciousness that does that. And your higher consciousness exists in your heart, not in your mind. And so, you know, this intense focus on your material world, trying to resolve things practically, trying to, you know, look at what's the safest bet, and not having listened to your intuition in recent times is what has led you astray, not your heart, not your intuition. You know, the mind doesn't know much at all. It's the heart that's intelligent, and you have spent so much time developing that heart-centered intelligence, increasing your emotional range and learning how to actually ground yourself in very challenging and fluid emotional circumstance. You are finally learning how to hold yourself, how to hold your state of being. Don't allow this sudden turn of events to convince you that you were wrong. You know, you need to get back on the wagon. It's time for you to keep going. Seahorse is about equality. We've also got wisdom and fear. And isn't that interesting? You know, equality is about recognizing the balance that's required between heart and mind. And that's really powerfully indicated here with both the water, which represents the emotional body, the grounded earthly environment, and the mountain in the sky, which symbolizes the air. It's only when we're aligned in all of our energy bodies that we truly have clarity and that we can access truth. And look at this, the star comes through again for you. Here it's called good fortune. 3 is the number of the Empress, the energy of creation. 6 is the number of love. Combined, that's number 10, completion. You need to trust that when you align yourself with your inner truth, when you come back to this powerful light and intuition within you, that you are going to know exactly how to move forward for the greater good and to unlock that good fortune and abundance and to restore some equilibrium in your life. Wisdom and the soul lesson of joy with the heart chakra. And it says on here, the lushness of sisterly love, healing hearts beyond. So I really think that you've managed to make some beautiful friends through this process. You know, again, you're pretty good at leaning into gratitude. When you look at everything that seemingly went wrong or turned upside down and all the collapse or catastrophe of this change that's happened, you need to look at who's come into your life since then. The people that have held your hand, helped you through, propped you up and supported you with genuine and heartfelt kindness and love. You are so abundant in many, many ways. And it's through these people that you are developing and grounding a deeper energy of wisdom. You know, fear is just a sidestep in the wrong direction. And you can see that, as I said, this is so beautifully illustrated. You know, on one side, you have this lush, verdant landscape, all the animals enjoying the water. You have a balance of all of those magical energies with earth, water, the eagle in the air, and of course the light of spirit represented here. And then on the other side, it's barren, you know, and the hyena is reduced to bone. And all of this shadow, the tree is bare, you know. So fear is just the other side. It's the dark side. It's turning away from the light. And that only happens when we lose faith and we stop recognizing the power of the light around us and how it's always available to us. In fact, it's dark or fear that doesn't really exist. The dark and fear is just an absence of light. It's not real. The gift of connection, crown chakra. And again, I think that soulmate energy, you cut them off for the right reasons, but that connection has led you to where you are now. And you've got to resist the urge to think you're in the wrong place, because you have grown exponentially. You're a million miles away from where you were a few years ago when you were languishing in the energy of depression, anxiety, codependence, rage, fury, and anger. You know, you were in a rotten place. You were very repressed. Your truth was repressed. Your energy was repressed. Now you have a much deeper connection to your heart, to your soul. You're much more self-aware. You know who you are now, and you know what you want. And more importantly, you know what you don't want. That's super important. So you had to go through this experience. You had to close the door on that person. It wasn't about rejecting them or getting vengeance. It was about finding the peace that you needed in order to grow. It was about putting yourself first. It may have been one of the first times in your life where you did not betray your own comfort in order to support somebody else's. You know, this is beautiful, and you have so many new friendships as a result of the course of your journey so far. So many beautiful energies here to support you. Now, Ladybird is such a supportive creature as well. And I don't know much about its literal spiritual symbology, but I always see them as abundance. I always see them as very, very lucky. And the colors, when you think about the root chakra, you know, that pertains to our material world. It pertains to home, work, friendships, family, all the things that ground us here in this earthly reality. And the black spots for me indicate the blockages and the blips. But, you know, the ladybug keeps moving regardless. It keeps growing. It keeps on moving. It remembers that it has the power to choose no matter the spots upon it. I know that's not particularly deep or meaningful, but that's just how I read it. But I also see them as symbolic of connection and friendship. And I really think that, you know, in your case, there is so much value that has come out of this period, even though it may have kind of thrown a real spanner in the works of your material world. Right, let's get some more cards. So what else do you need to be reassured of around this pile 4? Let's see. Okay, we've got the 10 of Pentacles. That's beautiful. This is also union energy. You can see that counterparts are indicated here. We've got the 8 of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the King of Cups in reverse. That's very interesting because we've already had the Queen. We've got Justice in reverse. We've got the 9 of Swords. And clarifying 10 of Pentacles is the Empress in reverse. Clarifying the 8 of Pentacles in reverse is the Death card, called Death Rebirth in this deck. Clarifying the King of Cups in reverse, we've got the 2 of Pentacles, the energy of change. Clarifying Justice in reverse, we have the Ace of Cups. And clarifying the 9 of Swords is the Page of Wands, Tiger energy there. Okay, this is beautiful. I really think that one of the things that you've kind of needed, and this is maybe why you watch a lot of tarot readings at the moment, you're looking for reassurance that the future is safe. You just want to know that everything's going to work out in a way that aligns with your desires, with your dreams, and with what you need and want the most. And I really think the universe is answering that call, because the 10 of Pentacles, you know, when we're talking about financial challenge and stress, this this card isn't just about union, it's about wealth, and it says that on the card. You know, this is about a stability that's family oriented as well. It's a stability, wealth and abundance that you share the comfort with another. And it's clarified by the Empress in reverse, which is mother energy or the energy of creation. And we can see that this is where the blockage is, and you simply need to bring it into balance. This is distorted feminine energy. This is not recognizing your ability to co-create. You know, every day in every way, your decisions, your choices, your actions, and more importantly, your vibration and your feelings is an ingredient that is going into the bowl to cook your tomorrow. And you get to choose what ingredients you put in that bowl. Now, when you choose pessimism and fear, you're co-creating a future that is the opposite of what you truly desire, because that's where you're putting your intention. You're focusing on the scary what ifs and the things that are hard. So you're being reminded that you have the power to bring everything back into balance and to get exactly what you want. And it's not necessarily by working for it in the way you have done before. You need to stop thinking of money or abundance or stability as something that you only receive when you trade it for vast amounts of your time. That's not how co-creation or manifesting actually works. You know, I know that that's how most of us work, and that we all correlate investment of time with income. But the universe is saying that you need to stop chasing the dollar or the money in your material world in such an physical action oriented way. This isn't about working more hours. It's not even about working smarter. In fact, it's not about working at all. You are being asked to actually close out that unhealthy program and belief system. That doesn't mean you're not going to need to do any work. It means when you approach your work from the perspective of doing what sparks joy and what feels right and good for you, rather than what ticks the financial boxes and all the other practical requirements, you are going to move something into something which is truly, truly, truly aligned with your overall life purpose and mission. And you won't even be thinking about whether it will make enough money. You'll just know it's what you're meant to do. You may already know. It may be something you've avoided doing because you've convinced yourself you can't make money doing it. Well, let me tell you, whatever it is that you think you're meant to be doing, there'll be someone out there in the world that's making a shed load of cash doing it. There is space in this world for everyone to receive what they need to receive. When we align with what's meant for us and we're genuinely working from that spark of creation from within, everything tends to work out in the way it's meant to. You were definitely meant to be wealthy and abundant in a variety of ways. And I think you've always known that, which is why you have applied yourself so diligently to your work life. You've probably worked yourself to the bone trying to make it happen and been stunned that those efforts have apparently seemed in vain. But the universe is saying, when you let all of that go, you are going to rise like a phoenix. That will be your becoming. You know, this is what's going to allow you to step into a future that is much more congruent with your truth, and it will consequently provide for you in a meaningful way so that you can continue doing it. You're going to need to balance your masculine energy as well. And remember, the masculine energy is the worker bee in us. It is the leader in us, the one that's trying to control things. And remember, you're working on the emotional self. Well, our masculine emotion, our masculine perspective of our emotions is much more challenging than the feminine, because the masculine will avoid emotions and it will lean into ego and the programming of the mind that we discussed earlier. So this is about recognizing as well that you can heal that point of fear by balancing both aspects within yourself, both the masculine and feminine. And we can see that here with that infinity number 8, the yin and yang of the light and dark, and the juggling of that that's featured in this card. Justice in reverse means there's unresolved karma, and Ace of Cups reassures you that if you can give yourself permission to move through it, you're leading yourself back to self-love. And I'm hearing that your counterpart will eventually do the same. You know, karma, I'm not hearing you're still in a karmic relationship, although some of you might be, but what tends to happen is that by the time we've left a karmic relationship, a karmic cord still remains. It just doesn't necessarily connect to that karmic partner anymore. The cord remains because it continues to expire and dissipate as you continue to resolve the karma within yourself. That's to say that at some point the cord breaks between those people so that they can continue the rest of that learning independent of the other. You know, so you have full autonomy over your karmic learning from this point, and you keep being reminded to go back to it, because this is what's going to help you fill up that love tank in your heart, which is going to reinforce your faith and intuition. For whatever reason, I don't know why I said that isn't, but I'm looking at energy because the reason was flowing in. So for the reason, 9 of Swords, and it's referenced here as cruelty. Pardon me, I've got a lump in my throat as I said that. This is victim consciousness. Your karmic partner treated you very badly. You know, they really did abuse you. They were cruel in their treatment of you, whether it was physical, whether it was coercive, whether it was emotional, whatever it was. They really treated you badly. It was cruel and inhumane how they treated you. But you can't allow yourself to languish in that victim consciousness. You know, the longer you perceive yourself a victim, the more you give power to this idea that you were hopeless or helpless in those moments. You need to start giving yourself permission not to perceive yourself as a victim of them, only as someone who was unable to learn to love themselves. You were a victim of your upbringing. You were a victim of the circumstances that led to you betraying yourself so badly that you tolerated this asshole. Yeah, you weren't their victim. You were a victim of your own decisions, but those decisions were born of the dysfunction which started from the day you were born, with the parents you were raised and the experiences you had following that. It's not about assigning blame. It's about recognizing that when we reflect and we are accountable to ourselves, we can start to identify with how the decisions we have made have actually been an act of self-betrayal. Because someone that stays in a relationship with a person that mistreats them is not loving themselves. They're not taking care of themselves. And as an adult, the harsh reality is that the only person who is truly responsible for your well-being is you. Now, it's a fair expectation that other people should treat us with kindness and respect, but we also have to be accountable to ourselves when they don't. It's our job to say, I'm not, that doesn't fly with me. I'm out of here. You know, I value myself too much. I'm worth more than the treatment that you're able to deliver. I'm not hanging around for that. And I know that sounds really harsh, but you have to believe me when I tell you this is what's going to liberate you. This is what's going to allow you to wrap up that cycle and actually embody the love that is available to you in your heart space. The Page of Wands is a beautiful energy to clarify this, because it reassures you that that spiritual energy and that fierceness and that power that is available to you, you know, begins to open up and flow when you close that down. 10 of Swords, which follows it, is the completion of that painful cycle. 9 is the energy of being stuck in it, because it's being perpetuated by ourself. 9 is the power of self. It also connects to the Hermit, which came up for you in reverse. And so you see, this is about going in and doing the soul searching. You've got to stop reflecting on all the people that were bitches and that hurt you. And you've got to start looking at them from the perspective of, God, I made some bad choices. I chose some shit friends and I chose some awful partners. You know, why did I make those decisions? Again, it's not about blaming yourself either, or beating yourself up, or, you know, giving yourself a hard time for making mistakes. There were no mistakes. This was part of your karmic contract. You had a soul arrangement with this person to have this experience so that you could learn to support and love yourself. And I think the new connection that you're experiencing also promotes the same learning. You know, that person is, through their soul's presentation or incarnation with you in this present moment, it's triggering you into that awareness of self and self-love. It's a beautiful energy, really. Right, let's get some more of these. I'm going to get some Keepers of the Light cards. we've got Horus, cosmic gateway. White eagle, ancestor spirit. And Radha, soul flame, the twin flame of Krishna. And from, actually, let's use these. I forgot to show you the keepers of the light box as well. I'm just not got into the habit. That's that one, if you were interested in the decks. And now we're going to use this little deck. This is called the Personal Power deck. And this is the box for that one. Let's get some of these. I follow my heart. Yes, yes, powerful. This is exactly what the universe wants you to start doing again. I am celebrated. Beautiful energy. I trust in divine timing. And I speak highly of myself. From the Divine Abundance deck, that's this one. Letting go. Change. Freedom. And flow. Beautiful, but I also feel the weight of it. It's like, oh, I don't know, I can't explain it. It feels heavy for you. I understand that. Right, I'm going to clarify these oracle cards here with a tarot card. Okay, that one wanted to come out. Ooh, nearly wrecked my crystal grid. Right, so that's the Two of Swords. Clarifying change. The Sun. Clarifying freedom. The Knight of Swords. And clarifying flow. The Four of Swords in reverse. I'm going to bring this up so you can see it. It says, everything is indeed out of control and God will hold it all. I can safely let go. So remember, we're talking about balancing that masculine energy within yourself. The masculine aspect that avoids the heart, listens to the mind, wants to lean into ego, wants to have control, wants to be powerful, you know, is prideful. That's the part of you that is struggling to accept what has become. It's the resistance in you that battles with your heart and convinces it it's wrong. It's the fear-based aspect of self, the animal or beast within. And you can see here with Two of Swords, which is about making different choices, that you can shift out of that. Now, this is really different to the traditional Two of Swords. It's actually called peace, which is very unusual. Normally we see a person here, they're wearing a blindfold and the moon and the ocean is behind them. And it's symbolic of indecision. And the reason they're indecisive is because they are only making decisions from the mind. Hence the moon, which represents intuition, and the water, which represents emotions, remains in the background. But this seems like a much more balanced energy. This is almost giving you permission to not know or make a decision. And that came up earlier. You don't have to make a decision. You just need to let things flow. You know, the very next step is literally what you do in the next 10 minutes. You know, you just need to be tuned into your heart and keep trusting that your inner compass is always guiding you to what's right. If it feels good, it's likely the right action. And, you know, the inner compass, it only operates with two energies that you need to learn and to develop discernment around. One of them is magnetism. That's something that you can't resist. It kind of pulls you in. Sometimes it will seem illogical, but you won't be able to help yourself. That's a big, big, big sign that it's the right thing for you. So magnetism, and what's not right for you, when you're moving in the wrong direction, you will feel resistance. And again, that can defy logic. That might mean that someone offers you the most amazing job in the world and yet you can't get excited about it. For whatever reason, it doesn't feel right. And you might sit there scratching your head thinking, but look how much money it is. The location's perfect. This is the job I've always dreamed of. Why do I not feel that flutter of excitement or enthusiasm in me? Why do I feel the urge to keep looking for something else? You know, that's the difference between trusting your instinct versus paying attention to the mind. You have to start learning to acknowledge how it feels versus what you think is right. Let go of control and trust in that flow. Tiger comes through for you again here. We've got Ma Durga. I want you to read about Ma Durga. She's a very powerful energy, pure divine femininity. And it says here, when the ego sees the utter madness of trying to control everything, you come to a sacred crossroads in your own evolution. And clarifying this is so magic, is the sun. Now let me tell you about the sun card. Traditionally, it's illustrated as a naked child upon horseback. It's a high number in the major arcana. There are only 22 cards. This is number 19. And the reason it's a highly ascended state on the spiritual journey, despite featuring a child, is because as children, we are born pure with the spiritual power to surrender to what is. That's to say that children are powerless, but they are also free because they don't resist that powerlessness. They're not obsessed with being in control. They just take each day as it comes and embrace it with as much joy, curiosity, inquisitiveness, and playfulness as they can. Even when stuff's really bad, kids will just dive into their imagination and make the best of it. They're not worrying about tomorrow. They're not thinking about next week. You know, it's not even in their zone of awareness. They're all about now. And that is so important because on the emotional spiral, if you look at the bottom of it, is powerlessness and the top is freedom. And it reminds you that when you accept the totality of all that is, you may indeed be powerless because you hand over control to the divine, but that is your freedom. That's what freedom is, to not have to worry about it. It's out of my hands. It's none of my damn business. You know, all I have to do is just keep trusting what feels good. I know it's easier said than done, I really do. But this is the truth that you're being led back to. And it says, I no longer want this fiery ring of resentment to block the good. Release me from its bonds. This has come up over the Justice card. So, you know, this karmic lesson that you close out is also going to release you into that energy of freedom. Because, you know, when we blame other people and we convince ourselves we need them to change. So this might look like, wow, my mum is a super abuser. She's never been the mother I want. And that pains me so much. I want her to know and to see how much she's hurt me. I want her to know that she can't behave like that. I want her to change. Or that you might say the same about a partner, an ex-partner or someone else in your life. You know, they're the problem. They're the ones being horrible. They're the ones that need to change. And I have no power to make them change. Therefore, I'm stuck and oppressed in this situation with this idiot because it hurts me. That's giving your power away. It's absolutely giving your power away because you're right. You don't have any power to change that person. You've probably tried really hard. You know the experience of talking to someone until you're blue in the face and still not getting through, still not being able to convince them of how they've hurt you, how they were wrong, how they owe you something, how they need to apologize or change. You've banged your head against that brick wall. You know how that feels. And it gives you no resolution because you can't make people see themselves. That's an inside job. So when you tell yourself that you can't be happy, peaceful, you can't forgive, you can't let go, you can't move on, you can't get closure until another person gives it to you, you're literally abandoning your own power. And you're putting it in the hands of someone that's already shown you beyond reasonable doubt that they are not capable of taking care of your needs. Yeah? When you decide to take that power back and say, do you know what? Shit happened. but I get to pick up the pieces and decide what's next. I can learn to forgive that person, to let go, to give myself the love, closure, and energy that I need to move forward. You know, that's what acceptance and surrender is. You know, that's what releasing control is. It's the totality of accepting all that is and just letting it go. And this is what you're being asked to do, to be accountable. When you say, well, actually, I can see how I did this or I did that, you have power over that. You can fix or transform that within yourself. And I want you to think about how hard it is to actually change. I bet if you really put your mind to it, you could think of a number of changes that you've committed to yourself to make. It might be, I'm going to go to the gym 10 times a week. I'm going to eat better this year. I'm going to get up earlier. I'm not going to stay on my phone as much. You could have set yourself a million promises and goals. I'm not going to behave like this. I'm not going to let those triggers bother me. I'm not going to speak like that anymore, and blah, blah, blah. I bet you can think of tons of them. And when you reflect back, you have to be honest with yourself about how many of those changes you've made. Why? Not to beat yourself up, but to be able to acknowledge how difficult change is. Now, you have made some massive leaps and bounds. You have changed considerably, and you've worked hard at that, but there's always more. And you know too that you made those changes because you were ready to. You made those changes because you committed to it and you've stuck with it in the most determined way. More importantly, you more than likely made those changes for yourself. And therein lies the difference. You know, when motivated by our own divine spark, anything is possible. But when someone else comes and says, hey, you're really overweight, you should go to the gym every day, you know, or I don't like the way you speak to me when X, Y, Z, you've got to stop doing that. It's so hard to change for other people, even when our intentions are good. And you've got to remember that when you're asking other people to change for you. And you also have to ask you if they owe you that. You know, sometimes we just have to accept that that person can't be who we want them to be. And it's not their job to change to make us happy. It's our job to move away and find something that's more compatible with our needs. That's on us. It's not everyone else's job to change. When someone shows you who they are and they show you their limitations, their inability to transform in the ways you need and want, you really need to accept it. Because to resent it, to hold bitterness, anger, frustration, vengefulness, to anticipate that you have to have some kind of closure, apology or movement from them, that just keeps you stuck. The Knight of Swords is about movement. He's got a chariot. He can move forward. And the Knight of Swords does. He charges forward. But it has to be a decision that you make for yourself. Flow. Allow me, divine, to move with the flow and respond with calmness and peace. You know how to do this. You've done it before. You've got yourself into that state of being. Can you challenge yourself to learn to hold it? Now that you've tasted how good it feels, don't you want it some more? Wouldn't life be great if you could move in that energy and just stand in the energy of acceptance and freedom and flow? You know, this is what the universe is inviting you to do. It's reminding you that the cosmic gateway is already opened, allowing that to happen. Your thoughts are magnetic and powerful. Miraculous changes are occurring. Can you step into your role as co-creator of your life? Can you start listening to your heart? I follow my heart. That's what you're being asked to do. Stop looking with your eyes and start looking from within. White eagle, ancestor spirit, connect to your lineage. A family wound or pattern can be healed now. You know, close out that karma. This is what's going to release you to focus on your flame. Rediscover a lost part of yourself. Experience relationship, harmony and healing. That's that 10 of Pentacles we saw. I am celebrated. And you will continue to be. You need to celebrate yourself. I trust in divine timing. You know, stop getting impatient. It's all coming to you. I speak highly of myself. Can you be as kind to yourself as you demand from others? You know, you're so quick to reprimand anyone that dares speak out of turn. But what about the way you speak to yourself when you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror? What about the way you castigate or reprimand yourself when you make some kind of innocuous comment or mistake? You know, the only voice and communication that matters is the inner dialogue in your mind that you need to start paying attention to with your heart, that you need to start taking power over with your heart. You need to let your heart lead, because it's a big one and you are meant for brilliant things. I really hope this has helped Pile 4. Let's get some charms as well before we take this over to the extended reading. In the extended, I want to find more about this connection that you closed off and why, what's shifting there, get some reassurance around that just to help you feel better about that decision, and also understand a bit more about the lessons you're not seeing with the karma. So if that resonated, you can find the link for that down below. But let's get some of these. I'm going to give them a good stir. Put them back in. Okay, and I'm just going to dig. Just need to see me do it. I'm going to dig into the middle, wrestle around and just grab whatever's there. This is a positive sign. Yay. We want more of those. I am a piece of shit, don't trust me. Okay. Clearly someone is a bad egg and you just need to move on. Everything will be okay. Isn't that magic? That was the overall goal. And there it is. You've got 2 positive signs there. The penny, which is symbolic of abundance and good luck. Keep going, keep growing. You know, the universe is recognizing how far you've come already. Yin yang, balance that masculine and feminine aspect within. Hello, I'm a bad idea. Right, so you were right to close the door on your person, okay? They are navigating such, I want to say, chaotic circumstances that it is impairing their ability to even transform into anything close to what their heart is capable of. Can you give them permission to navigate that and be a mess for a while, as you have sometimes been messy? You know, they can't be there in the way you want them to be right now. You were right to close the door. Bee spray. And without you, I feel lost at sea. I think this is that fear that you were horrible and that you kind of, you know, your behavior was somehow repellent and wrong. It wasn't. It was okay. You had to close the door. You had to do what was right for you. This is the first time you've loved yourself enough to do it. Be proud. Celebrate that. It's going to be okay. I'm sending you so much love, Pile 4. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for subscribing, and welcome if you're new. I hope you'll come back again so that we can be friends. And don't forget to check out my website if you want to get to know me better and book services with me. You can find all kinds of good stuff over there, including bookings at happysouls1111.com. But I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye.